Chapter 1999. In other words, whether it was this painting or those words, they were all completed by Tsongji alone. No wonder Yun Xiao revealed that expression earlier. This Tsongji was truly narcissistic to the point that no one in the past would be able to surpass him in the future. No one could compare to him. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng rubbed his forehead. She turned to look at Yun Luofeng and suddenly recalled Tsongji's diary. Her eyes moved slightly. Why don't we try it here? Yun Xiao nodded without hesitation. Okay. As soon as she finished speaking, Yun Luofeng felt an arm reach out and pull her into an embrace. She raised her head and met the man's affectionate and warm eyes. The man carried her in his arms and strode into the room. A wave of medicinal fragrance wafted into his nose, making Yun Luofeng feel refreshed. Yun Zhao's movements were very careful as he gently placed her on the bed, as if he was afraid that he would hurt her if he used too much force. Very quickly, both of their clothes were thrown messily on the ground. Yun Xiao gently bit Yun Luofeng's lips, his black eyes filled with an indescribable tenderness. In this small room, apart from the bed, there was also a coffin. Yun Luofeng kept the red bead in his mouth from beginning to end. He could also feel that as Yun Xiao moved up and down, streams of powerful energy flowed into his body, and the spiritual energy in his body was quickly replenished. At this moment, both of them were enjoying themselves to the fullest, and they only had eyes for each other. No one noticed that a transparent light flew out from the medicine coffin and shot towards Yun Luofeng's stomach. In the end, Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao were still schemed against by Tsongji. And this was the first time someone had successfully schemed against Yun Luofeng. When Yun Luofeng discovered the truth, it was not enough to describe how miserable he would be. Actually, from the fact that Tsongji was able to predict that Yun Luofeng would come to this place, it could be deduced that Tsongji would not let go of this opportunity. What a joke! The child of a spirit virtual body and a spirit entity. How much of a genius would that be? He would definitely be able to combine the strengths of both of them. So how could he give such a good opportunity to others? Absolutely not. This opportunity could only be given to him. At that time, wouldn't all the beauties in the world throw themselves into their arms when they become the children of these two? There was nothing more delightful than wielding the power of the world and lying drunk on a beauty's lap. As for the red bead, it was indeed a part of his power. After all, the virtual spirit body was his mother. Wasn't it reasonable to improve his mother's strength? If his mother was strong enough, he would be able to dominate the continent in the future. Otherwise, who would support him? Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao did not notice that the transparent light had entered them, nor did they notice that the pearl in Yun Luofeng's mouth had become brighter. Yun Luofeng only felt his body sink, as if something had entered his body. The battle lasted for a day and a night. Only on the next day did they rest, drenched in sweat. At the same time, Yun Luofeng broke through. The heavenly lightning produced when breaking through to the ultimate god realm was even stronger. Yun Luofeng once again released his azure wings to absorb the heavenly lightning. With the protection of the azure wings, not a single bolt of lightning was able to get close to Yun Luofeng. What was even more shameless was that the two people on the bed didn't care about the lightning, nor did they care about the azure wings that were fighting against the lightning. They started a new round of activity. While Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao were exercising in the small wooden house, Qi Su and Mu Shuoxin returned to the Drifting Wind Nation while Qi Ling returned to the Tianqi Nation. Chapter 2000. What awaited him in the kingdom of Tianqi was a severe reprimand. In the imperial study, the atmosphere was heavy. The emperor sat on the dragon throne with imperial concubine Lin by his side. Below them were Qi Ling and Qi Yu. Qi Ling, I heard that you obtained 3 jade seals in the Four-Nation Conference this time? The emperor went straight to the point. Your third brother is the one who will unify the 4 nations as predicted by the imperial tutor. Your jade seal is useless. It's better to give it to your third brother. After saying this, the emperor gave Qi Yu a look. Aren't you going to take the jade seal back? Yes, father. Qi Yu was overjoyed and walked towards Qi Ling. Qi Ling, so what if you obtained 3 jade seals? In the end, you still have to give it back to me. Second brother, why haven't you handed over the jade seal? Do you want me to search you? Qi Ling straightened his back and said, the champion of the 4 Nations tournament is determined by those who are capable. You keep saying that third brother is the one who will unify the 4 nations, so why didn't he win? The emperor frowned. His eyes were filled with impatience. I am only telling you to take fewer detours. How can you not know how powerful the imperial tutor is? How can his words be false? So what if you make the 4 nations listen to you? It will be returned to your brother sooner or later. It's better to give it to him from the start. More importantly, Qi Yu was much more obedient than Qi Ling. If Qi Ling really became the ruler of the 4 nations, he, as his father, would also have to listen to him. This was something the emperor did not want to happen. The imperial tutor said so? Qi Ling glanced at the emperor. That can only mean that the imperial tutor has a problem with his judgment. That's why he thinks that trash like Qi Yu can unify the 4 nations. Impudent! Hearing this, the emperor's expression changed. He shouted angrily, "You dare to disobey my orders now? When you become the ruler of the 4 nations, won't you look down on me? Let me tell you, you have to hand over the jade seal even if you don't want to. Take it out immediately." Qi Ling's lips curled into a mocking smile. He was about to speak when the door to the study was suddenly pushed open. In an instant, a man dressed in white walked in from outside the door. This man was so beautiful that it seemed unreal. When he walked over, one could faintly see the existence of a mortal mist behind him. He held a jade flute in his hand, and his footsteps were very light and ethereal. At the same time, the civil and military officials followed behind the man. They had heard everything that had happened in the study room. If Yun Luofeng was here, he would be able to tell at a glance that this man was the one who had been playing music in the forest. In other words, he was the reincarnation of Zhu Qian. Grand Tutor, the emperor immediately stood up when he saw the man appear. I still remember that you once said that my 3rd imperial son would unify the 4 kingdoms in the future. I remember this clearly. The man raised his lips and smiled faintly. His smile was incomparably beautiful. The most beautiful color in the world could not compare to that smile. However, his smile was different from Ji Jiutian's arrogance. It was also different from Chen Yuqing's gentleness. It was also different from Yun Zhao's deep love. His smile was so cold that it made people's hearts ache. I did say these words. The emperor heaved a sigh of relief. However, before he could speak, the man's voice rang out again. However, I was just teasing you. Did you not notice? Chapter 2001. I was just teasing you. Don't tell me you didn't notice? The emperor's face darkened. Imperial advisor, what did you just say? Teasing them? What kind of joke was this? All these years, why did he give Qi Yu so much love? Wasn't it because Qi Yu was praised by the imperial advisor as the person who would unify the 4 kingdoms in the future? In the end, the imperial advisor told him that he was joking with them? It seems that you really did not notice that I was joking. The man's handsome face showed a hint of surprise. Do you really think that an idiot like Qi Yu could become the #1 person in the 4 kingdoms? The word idiot enraged both Qi Yu and imperial concubine Lin. Imperial advisor. Did Qi Ling give you something in return for you to speak up for him? You clearly said that you would unify the 4 kingdoms. Imperial concubine Lin gritted her teeth, her face ashen. Something in return? The man laughed coldly when he heard this. Then in imperial concubine Lin's eyes, what kind of benefits would bribe this imperial advisor? Imperial concubine Lin was so angry that she was about to speak, but the emperor, who had just regained his senses, immediately glared at her, causing her to swallow the flower in her mouth. Imperial tutor. The emperor's expression was extremely ugly. As he spoke, there was a hateful attitude. Back then, why did you make such a joke? Do you know how big of a mistake I made because of your joke? The man raised his eyes and smiled. Imperial concubine Lin was disrespectful to this imperial advisor, so why can't I make such a joke? In an instant, everyone's gaze fell upon imperial concubine Lin's ashen face. Nonsense! Imperial concubine Lin shouted angrily. Don't you dare smear my name. When did I disrespect you? Then who was the one who teased this imperial advisor more than 10 years ago? Could it be that Your Highness thinks that it was just a joke? Imperial concubine Lin's face flushed red as the events of the past were brought up once again by the man. She seemed to sense the emperor's raging gaze and bit her lip. Yes, I was only joking with the imperial advisor. Who knew that the imperial advisor would take it seriously? The man looked as if he had suddenly understood. If Your Highness was joking with this imperial advisor, why can't I do the same? Am I right, Your Majesty? The man's eyes were smiling as he slowly turned towards the furious emperor. The emperor suddenly stepped forward, picked up imperial concubine Lin, and gave her 2 slaps. He roared in anger. "You slut! As a concubine of the palace, you do not follow the rules of womanhood, and even dared to tease the imperial advisor. Men, drag this woman away and await her punishment." Imperial concubine Lin's entire body was numb from the 2 slaps. Her body felt weak and she gradually collapsed. Her face was filled with despair. She understood that everything was over. As for Chi Yu, who she had placed all her hopes on, after seeing this scene, he was so scared that he didn't even dare to say a word. He hid at the side and didn't make a sound, afraid that he would implicate himself. The man slowly walked up to Imperial concubine Lin. His smile was like the spring breeze, but it did not reach his eyes. "You once tried to seduce me. After I rejected you, you flew into a rage out of humiliation and tried to frame me. Fortunately, I dodged your scheme and didn't let you have your way. But I've already remembered this matter in my heart. That's why I'm letting your son bear the consequences of your mistakes so that he can be destroyed." Since the imperial tutor was called the imperial tutor, how could his abilities be ordinary? Chapter 2002. He could tell a person's character from their facial features. The emperor was muddle-headed and tyrannical, while imperial concubine Lin was arrogant and complacent. If they knew that Chi Yu was to become the most powerful man in the 4 countries, their love for him would definitely destroy him. Of course, if not for what he had said, and without the emperor's indulgence and love, Chi Yu might not be such an idiot. "Imperial tutor, you're ruthless." Imperial concubine Lin closed her eyes. She remembered that 10 years ago, she was still a young girl. Even though she married the emperor 2 years earlier and gave birth to the 4th prince. But her heart was still very young. In the imperial palace, when she first met this peerless imperial tutor, she unconsciously fell in love with him. She even thought that if he was willing to take her away from the imperial palace, she would give up all her glory and wealth to be with him. But she didn't expect that this man would reject her so decisively. Because of this, her love turned into hatred. She wanted to frame the Empress, Qiling's mother, for having an affair with this imperial tutor. At that time, the violent emperor would definitely kill these 2 people, who knew that the imperial tutor had already known of her little tricks and easily resolved it. From then on, she understood that her every move could not be hidden from this man. She used this opportunity to give up on her plans. As she grew older, she was already old and faded, while the imperial tutor was still as beautiful as ever. She knew that she was not worthy of the imperial tutor, so she never caused trouble for him again. Who would have thought that the imperial tutor had always held a grudge against her, and had even made such a big move? At this moment, 2 palace guards had already walked to imperial concubine Lin's side. They supported her limp body and were about to walk out of the study. However, they had only taken 2 steps when they were stopped by Qiling. "I still have some matters to settle with imperial concubine Lin." His eyes were filled with murderous intent. "I wonder if imperial concubine Lin can explain to me how you managed to mobilize the gods in the imperial palace? And to allow Chi Yu to win, you killed the subordinates I brought with me?" Imperial concubine Lin trembled. Facing the imperial tutor, she felt fear from the bottom of her heart, so she did not deny what she had done. But in front of Qiling, she would never admit it. "Qiling, don't try to frame me. I have never done such a thing." "Really?" Qiling smiled coldly. "It doesn't matter if you don't admit it. I just want to be sure that you did it. I don't know how Imperial Father will punish you, but I will never let you off." As soon as he finished speaking, the entire study fell silent. After a long time, his voice rang out again. "Men, drag this woman away and tear her to pieces. Also, stuff her body into the statue and make her kneel in front of the graves of those warriors for eternity to repent." "No!" Imperial concubine Lin shrieked. "Qiling, you can't do this. I'm the imperial concubine, you can't treat me like this." Having said that, she struggled violently out of the hands of the 2 guards and quickly walked towards the emperor. "Your Majesty, please save me. I know I was wrong. Please ask the 2nd prince to let me go." The emperor looked coldly at imperial concubine Lin, his eyes filled with anger and hatred. "You want to make me a cuckold, and you still want me to save you? I'm already being merciful by not punishing you myself. Why are you still standing here? Drag this woman away so she won't be an eyesore." Chapter 2003. In this life, he hated betrayal the most. Although imperial concubine Lin did not actually sleep with another man, She had the intention to do so. She must die. Qi Ling did not even look at the emperor. His gaze gradually turned to Qi Yu. That cold gaze caused Qi Yu to tremble. He knelt down with a thud. Qi Yu was the emperor's son after all. He could not bear to see him like this. Yu is your younger brother. He did not do anything wrong. Please forgive him. Qi Ling's cold gaze swept across the emperor. Who allowed you to speak? The emperor's face turned green. What do you mean? We are your imperial father. Without your permission, would imperial concubine Lin be able to mobilize the elders? Qi Ling smiled coldly. You can't even protect yourself now. You still want to plead for others? The emperor's lips trembled. His face contorted. He was clearly enraged. He took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. Ling, as long as we are your father, you will have to be filial to me for the rest of your life. We asked you to release your younger brother. Do you dare to refuse? Only a benevolent father can have a filial son. If the father is not benevolent, why should the son be filial? Qi Ling finished speaking and walked towards Qi Yu. He did not even spare the emperor a glance. The emperor was furious. Qi Ling, stop right there. Do you think that you can disregard me just because you are the #1 person in the 4 countries? No matter what, we are still your father. You must listen to our words. Qi Ling stopped in his tracks. His voice was cold. Guards, take him away. Without my orders, he is not allowed to step out of the room. That one sentence had already determined the emperor's future orders. He was in confinement. He could not leave for the rest of his life. The emperor sneered. This was the kingdom of Tianqi, after all. Would the people of the kingdom of Tianqi listen to Qi Ling? However, just as the emperor was indifferent, the officials and guards had already moved. Without waiting for Qi Ling's orders, they had already grabbed the emperor's arm and dragged him out. What are you doing? I am the emperor. Stop. The emperor panicked and immediately roared. Unfortunately, those officials could not bear to see his incompetent and tyrannical behavior. Naturally, they would not let him go at this time. Qi Ling becoming the emperor was something that everyone expected. Furthermore, he was the one who made the kingdom of Tianqi the #1 of the 4 kingdoms. Moreover, the other countries had to listen to them. With such a result, the 2 ultimate gods did not have any objections. Therefore, the dog emperor's fate was basically foreseeable. Second brother? Qi Yu swallowed with some difficulty as a fawning smile appeared on his face. I had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai previously. I have offended you greatly. Please forgive me this once on account that we are brothers. Your crime is different from your mother's. You don't deserve to die. However, you've been arrogant, despotic, and hedonistic for so many years. You've made countless mistakes. Qi Ling's voice was cold. Therefore, I will let people parade you on the streets. Your fate will be decided by the public. Qi Yu's expression immediately changed. He immediately looked like he was about to cry. Second brother, aren't you trying to take my life? All these years, he had raped women, killed countless people, and committed all kinds of crimes. However, because his father was the emperor, no one dared to punish him. Chapter 2004. Therefore, there was no one in the entire state of Tianqi who didn't hate him. If he was paraded through the streets and allowed the masses to punish him, it would be equivalent to asking him to die. If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? Qi Ling waved his hand coldly. Take him away. Whether he can survive or not will depend on his own ability. Of course, Qi Yu's body had long been hollowed out by alcohol and lust. The chances of him surviving were equivalent to 0. Then, Qi Ling walked out of the study amidst Qi Yu's ghostly wails. A gust of fresh air blew into his face, making him feel refreshed. He couldn't help but think of the imperial tutor who had helped him. He was about to thank the imperial tutor when he suddenly realized that the imperial tutor who had been standing in the study had disappeared. On the street, the man was dressed in a snow-white robe. His handsome face revealed a trace of absent-mindedness. He didn't know why he had come to this street. He only felt that there seemed to be a destined person waiting for him. Just as the man was frowning and pondering, he didn't see the road in front of him. Instead, he suddenly collided with the absent-minded youth. The youth's face immediately darkened. He raised his eyes that were filled with rage. However, at that moment, a handsome face was imprinted in his eyes. What caught his attention was naturally not the man's unparalleled handsome face, but the man's body had a very familiar aura. That aura was too similar to Zhu Qian's. The youth's eyes were a little dull. Before he could regain his senses, the man's gentle voice sounded in his ears. "Are you all right?" The man's tone was very ethereal, like a dream. It also made the youth recover from his daze. He wasn't Zhu Qian. A person like Zhu Qian was arrogant and domineering. And the man in front of him was too gentle. How could such a gentle person be that bloodthirsty and cold Zhu Qian? "I'm fine." Enchanting shook his head and slightly lowered his eyes. Didn't he already find Zhu Qian? Why was he stunned by the man in front of him at that moment? "If you're fine, then I can rest assured." The man smiled. That smile was like a spring breeze that slowly spread across his face. What's your name?" Enchanting bit his lips and asked shyly. "Feng Jin." "Feng Jin?" This name suddenly made Enchanting think of a phrase. "You look at the scenery from a distance, I look at you from a close distance." The surname Feng is so special. "All right, my name is Enchanting." Enchanting's face lit up with a lovely smile. His eyes curved into a beautiful smile. Feng Jin smiled and gently rubbed Enchanting's head with his big hand. "Enchanting, I will remember you. However, I have something to do and have to leave. If fate allows it, we will meet again." "Yes? What is it?" Enchanting asked in disappointment. "I'm going to find my destined person." The heavens had given him a body with terrible talent, but at the same time, he had a pair of discerning eyes and a root of wisdom. Unfortunately, he could see the fate of others, but he could never see his own. For example, the young man in front of him was fated to have a bumpy road of love, and he would never be able to find love in his entire life. A hint of pity appeared in Feng Jin's eyes when he thought of this. Such a cute and handsome young man had to end up like this. How could he not feel sorry for him? "Enchanting, let's meet again if fate allows it." Feng Jin made a goodbye gesture, turned around and walked towards the street in a carefree manner. Chapter 2005. At that moment, his footsteps suddenly stopped as a young man's clear voice came from behind him. "If I'm a woman in my next life and you're a man, will you marry me?" "Zhu Qian, if I'm a woman in my next life and you're a man, will you marry me?" Faintly, a familiar voice came into Feng Jin's mind. It was distant yet close to him. His destined partner was a man? Feng Jin laughed and shook his head. He must have gotten something wrong. His sexual orientation was normal and he had always liked women. How could he be a man? However, Feng Jin replied to the young man's question, "If you're really a woman in your next life, it's not a problem for me to marry you." As soon as he finished speaking, his figure slowly walked into the crowd and disappeared from the chaotic street. Enchanting looked at the man's back disappointedly and gently pursed her beautiful pink lips. "He's not Zhu Qian." If he heard what I said, he wouldn't have bothered to answer. After all, Zhu Qian is such an arrogant person. Why would he answer such a childish question? Moreover, the Zhu Qian in my heart can't be so gentle. He's always so high and mighty, stepping on everyone in the world. If Zhu Qian was as gentle as this man back then, perhaps he would not be in so much pain. At least, the man in front of him would not be like Zhu Qian who ignored him after finding out about his love. Enchanting looked down and covered his eyes. His eyes were filled with sadness and pain. He took one last look at the direction Feng Jin disappeared and walked in another direction. Wind Cloud City. Inside the wooden hut, it was another round of sweating. Yun Luofeng's body was already soaked in sweat. Her body was tightly pressed against the man on top of her. They could hear each other's heavy breathing. "It should be about time. I hope I can get pregnant this time." Yun Luofeng was panting. Even though she had broken through to the ultimate god realm, she could not withstand Yun Zhao's torment. Fortunately, her dual cultivation with Yun Xiao could stabilize her cultivation base and was not as weak as when she had just broken through to the ultimate god realm. "It's okay even if you don't." Yun Xiao lowered his head and kissed the woman's lips. "You're enough for me." Just as Yun Xiao was about to do it again, Yun Luofeng slapped over and flung him away fiercely. "We've been here for half a month. It's about time. I reckon Qi Su and Qi Ling are almost done with their preparations." I'm going back to meet up with them and discuss how to deal with the Freedom Alliance. Yun Xiao furrowed her brows. If you want to deal with the Freedom Alliance, I can help you flatten them. There's no need to go through so much trouble. More importantly, he didn't want to disturb them because of the Freedom Alliance. No, we must let the two of them deal with this matter. If it really doesn't work out, we'll intervene. Yun Luofeng refuted Yun Zhao's words. All right, I'll listen to you. Yun Xiao didn't ask why. He believed in Yun Luofeng. No matter what Yun Luofeng wanted to do, she would have her reasons. So he just had to support her as always. Aren't you going to ask me why? Yun Luofeng blinked and asked. Yun Xiao lowered her head and bit her lips again. Do you remember what I said to you before? What? You kill people and I bury their bodies. Similarly, you can do whatever you want and I'll take care of the aftermath. Chapter 2006. No matter what you do, I will let you do it. With me taking care of the aftermath, you will have nothing to fear. Yun Luofeng smiled. Her smile was beautiful, so beautiful that it took one's breath away. Yun Xiao, in this world, only you can understand me. She returned the man a kiss. What I want is never for you to protect me. I want to be the woman who fights alongside you. This time's mission is a chance for Qi Su and Qi Ling to establish their power in the mainland. Naturally, we can't give up so easily. That's why I plan to let them do it first. Then we'll act according to the situation. Yun Zhao's gaze was affectionate and warm. His woman was never someone who hid behind him, but someone who relied on her own strength to hold up the sky. And in the beginning, it was because of this that he admired her, wasn't it? Let's do it again, okay? Yun Zhao's gaze carried some anticipation. Don't worry, this time I will be fast. 2 hours will be enough. Who knows, on the last time here, I might successfully conceive. Yun Luofeng's mouth twitched. Are you sure it'll end in 2 hours? Yes. Okay. Yun Xiao would never lie to her, so she thought for a moment and agreed. 2 hours, it shouldn't be a problem. As expected, Yun Xiao was a man who never lied. If he said 2 hours, it would definitely be 2 hours, not a minute less. When the time reached 2 hours, it just happened to end. Yun Luofeng's body was already soft, she gritted her teeth. Do you need to control time so well? Yun Zhao's gaze was very innocent. I didn't exceed 2 hours. Not a minute less. Yun Luofeng glared at him. Go get my clothes, we'll leave in a bit. Okay. Yun Xiao was finally willing to leave this warm and delicate body, to pick up the clothes he threw on the ground. When they were in bed, he did his best to serve Yun Luofeng. When they got off the bed, he also did his best to help her dress and pack her luggage. He even took the books on the table with him. After all, he didn't know when Yun Luofeng would want these books. Yun Xiao, before leaving, Yun Luofeng took one last look at this wooden house, his fingers lightly stroking his lower abdomen. I have a feeling maybe this time I can really conceive. How do you know? Mother and son are connected. Yun Xiao pondered for a moment before suddenly asking, why are you sure it's a son and not a daughter? I'm not too sure either. Perhaps it's just my sixth sense. Actually, I don't really care about having children. Although I prefer daughters, sons aren't too bad either. The prerequisite is that they aren't as narcissistic and shameless as Zhang Ji. Otherwise, wouldn't all the women in the world be ruined by him? Unfortunately, Yun Luofeng did not know that her son was not just like Zhang Ji. It was Zhang Ji himself. Of course, the pitiful Zhang Ji had not even started to harm a woman when he was already harmed by a woman. And this was a disaster that would last for a lifetime. I like daughters. Yun Zhao's gaze became even more affectionate. If it was a daughter, she would definitely look like you. Is that so? When our daughter gets married, you'll understand how the old man felt when he married me. Yun Luofeng curled her lips. She was starting to miss Grandpa. If Grandpa saw Bai Ling, he would definitely be very excited. But Yun Luofeng suddenly wanted to tease Yun Xiao. If a man steals our daughter, kill him. Yun Zhao's voice suddenly turned cold and a murderous look appeared in her eyes. This murderous look was naturally not directed at Yun Luofeng, but towards that future son-in-law who was still somewhere unknown. Chapter 2007. Yun Luofeng's eyebrows twitched. Kill. That was indeed Yun Zhao's style. It's getting late. Let's go. Yun Luofeng stretched his back lazily and looked back at the small wooden hut. Then, he walked towards the back of the mountain. As they left the back of the mountain, they didn't notice that after their figures disappeared, the small wooden hut in the back of the mountain suddenly collapsed. Freedom Alliance. In a dark and damp woodshed, Golden Sun Princess Lian Yueshing stood quietly in front of the window. The corners of her clothes fluttered elegantly in the wind. Her upright posture was indescribably arrogant and cold. Even in such a bad situation, she wasn't willing to lower herself. Creak. The door was pushed open. When Lian Yueshing turned her head to look, she saw Lang Xinyue walking in. She said coldly, "What business do you have with me?" Lang Xinyue smiled. Her smile was filled with jealousy and hatred. Golden Sun Princess, do you know why the Alliance leader took a liking to you? Why should I know? Lian Yueshing smiled mockingly. Moreover, the Freedom Alliance doesn't seem to be free. Instead, it's as overbearing as the Four Nations. Why would he have a reason for doing things? Lang Xinyue's hands involuntarily clenched tightly. A cold look flashed across her eyes. You're wrong. The Alliance leader isn't the kind of person you think he is. In his entire life, I was his only woman. You're the second one, and he only loved Yun Yueqing. Who knew that Yun Yueqing wouldn't know what's good for her? She actually treated the Alliance leader like that. Even though she had become the Alliance leader's concubine, she still couldn't win his heart. However, Yun Yueqing, who had won the Alliance leader's heart, was disdainful of him. How could she not be angry? The Alliance leader wanted you to be his woman because you have a pure Yin body. When she heard the words pure Yin body, Lian Yueshing's originally nonchalant expression suddenly changed. Even her pupils constricted. A pure Yin body can be used by men to nourish Yang. Do you think the Alliance leader would let someone like you be taken by another man? Lang Xinyue sneered as he walked towards Lian Yueshing. Unfortunately, the Alliance master is dead. He died at the hands of Ghost Emperor Yun Shao. Lian Yueshing was stunned. The leader of the Freedom Alliance was dead? Then why did Lang Xinyue want to capture him? Since he's dead, why did you bring me here? Lian Yueshing was puzzled and naturally asked. Lang Xinyue's eyes were filled with intense hatred. The Alliance master is dead, so I naturally have to avenge him. I brought you here so that the men of the Freedom Alliance can have a taste of you. With you around, the Freedom Alliance's strength will rise to another level in a short period of time. This is your role. Lian Yueshing's body stiffened. She took a deep breath and said, I won't let you have your way. It's not up to you. Lang Xinyue fiercely flung his sleeves and swept a cold glance at Lian Yueshing. Men, bring Princess Golden Sun away and summon all the members of the Freedom Alliance. With that, Lang Xinyue ordered a few people to take Lian Yueshing down, then turned around and walked out of the woodshed. Yun Yueqing, the Alliance leader loved you so much, yet you ruthlessly trampled on his heart and helped an outsider to harm him. Chapter 2008. Then I will definitely avenge the chief. Be it you or the others who helped you, none of you will be able to escape death. The Freedom Alliance wasn't a small tribe, but a huge city. The chief's residence was naturally located in the center of the city, which was also the most luxurious area. At that moment, everyone in the Freedom Alliance received Lang Xinyue's message. They rushed over from all directions and gathered at the plaza in front of the city lord's residence. Miss Lang, why did you look for us in such a hurry this time? An elderly man in the group couldn't help but ask out of curiosity. Lang Xinyue looked at the group of people below her, her eyes filled with grief. I came to inform you all of something. The chief is dead. What? The chief was dead? Everyone's eyes widened in shock. Some of the elderly men even began to tremble. The former chief had only passed away a few years ago, yet the current chief was also dead? Could it be that the heavens really wanted the Freedom Alliance to perish? Miss Lang, hurry up and tell us what happened. How did the chief die? The elderly man's breathing was a little hurried as he asked anxiously. Lang Xinyue lowered her eyelids slightly. This is all my fault. I didn't protect the chief well. She slowly raised her eyelids. In that instant, her eyes were filled with sorrow. No one could bear to blame this innocent girl anymore. Even the Alliance Master had died, so one could imagine how powerful that person was. Lang Xinyue must have been lucky enough to escape this calamity, so how could they blame her for it? Miss Lang, you don't have to blame yourself. Hurry up and tell us who caused the chief's death so that we can avenge her. Lang Xinyue's eyelashes trembled slightly. Actually, all of you know the person who caused the chief's death. She is Yun Yueqing. Boom. The name Yun Yueqing was like a heavy boulder that smashed into the hearts of this group of people. The elderly men who had followed the former chief for many years cried out in shock. Impossible. How could it be Yun Yueqing? She was the former chief's disciple and the current chief's junior sister. How could she do such a thing? Lang Xinyue's eyes flickered with tears and indignation. I didn't want to tell you about this at first, but the Alliance Master didn't want me to tell you because we are brothers and sisters. But now that the Alliance Master has died in the hands of that bitch, how can I cover up for her because we are from the same sect? Everyone's heart skipped a beat when they saw Lang Xinyue's hateful expression. Could something have happened between the Alliance Master and Yun Yueqing? Do you know why Yun Yueqing hasn't returned to the Alliance all these years? Lang Xinyue clenched her fists tightly. That's because, right before Master passed away, she made a trip back. Furthermore, the Alliance Master discovered something. I still remember that day, not long after Master passed away. Alliance Master found Yun Yueqing rummaging through Master's room. As she searched, she cursed Master as an old fart. At the time, I was by her side and heard clearly what seal she was looking for. Seal? Everyone's heart skipped a beat. After the previous Alliance leader passed away, the seal had disappeared. No one had been able to find it. Could it be that Yun Yueqing had taken it? Chapter 2009. Lang Xinyue's gaze swept over the crowd, and the darkness in her eyes deepened. The Alliance leader has always been very filial to her master. After hearing this, she rushed out to question Yun Yueqing. However, in order to hide this matter, she actually tried to seduce the Alliance leader. Very few people in the Alliance knew that the Alliance leader was in love with Yun Yueqing. Now that she said this, no one doubted her. As expected, compared to Yun Yueqing, the crowd was more willing to believe Lang Xinyue, who had grown up in the Alliance. Only a few elders didn't believe that Yun Yueqing was such an ingrate. When the Alliance chief saw this, he became furious and injured Yun Yueqing. However, on account of their relationship as brothers and sisters, he did not deal a heavy blow. However, Yun Yueqing escaped with injuries. He left for a couple of years until the Alliance chief received a letter from Yun Yueqing not long ago. Yun Yueqing said that she wanted to reconcile with the Alliance leader and realized her own mistakes. The Alliance leader also forgave her, so the Alliance leader brought a group of people to find Yun Yueqing and planned to bring her back. Who would have thought that Yun Yueqing would join forces with outsiders and kill the Alliance leader? Out of so many people that the Alliance leader brought, only I escaped. Lang Xinyue couldn't help but cover her face and cry at the end. Her description was very vivid, and no one could hear the problem in her words. Yun Yueqing is really bold. Back then when she was wandering outside and lost all her memories, it was the old Alliance leader who saved her and gave her a superior life and powerful strength. Is this how she repaid the Freedom Alliance? Poor old Alliance leader. He always treated her like a daughter. How could she do such an ingrate? This is too much. This is too much. Miss Lang, tell us where Yun Yueqing is right now. We are going to take revenge for the Alliance leader. Everyone's emotions were stirred. If Yun Yueqing was in front of them, they would definitely tear him to pieces. Of course, there was still a rational elder in the crowd. He merely frowned and asked, Miss Lang, is what you said true? Yun Yueqing doesn't seem like someone who would do such a thing. Elder Zhen, you may know a person's face but not his heart. How do you know Yun Yueqing's true character? We watched Miss Lang grow up, and she has never lied. In my opinion, it is Yun Yueqing who has wild ambitions and delusions of unifying our Freedom Alliance. That's right, Miss Lang. Immediately tell me where Yun Yueqing is. You don't need to care about our past friendship. This woman is not fit to be a member of our Freedom Alliance. Lang Xinyue's expression did not change when she saw how agitated these people were. She raised her hand, and in that instant, the entire crowd fell silent, waiting for her to speak. Everyone, since the people Yun Yueqing found can defeat the Alliance Master, will just be throwing our lives away if we go alone. The crowd was silent. Everyone was waiting for Lang Xinyue's next words. Then, under everyone's gaze, Lang Xinyue continued, However, Master once gave me a secret manual. That secret manual recorded how to quickly break through to the Divine Lord realm. If I become a divine monarch, would I still be afraid of those people? Divine monarch. These two words had already touched the chord in everyone's heart, causing their breathing to tighten slightly and their hearts to be filled with nervousness. Chapter 2010. As long as all the godly venerable ones transfer your abilities to me, I'll be able to master them through Master's secret manual. Very soon, I'll reach the level of a Sir God. By then, will there still be anyone in the Wind Cloud continent who can be our match? Lang Xinyue's expression was solemn as she spoke in a clear voice. In reality, this method also had its own repercussions. Even if she could reach the level of a divine lord with the help of these people, she would still have to endure unbearable pain every full moon night. That was also why the Alliance Master had never used this method despite knowing about it. However, for the sake of revenge, she couldn't care less anymore. As long as Yunhua Qing could die, everything would be worth it. The crowd fell silent once again. After all, humans were selfish by nature. How would they be willing to sacrifice their abilities for Lang Xinyue to break through? I know you have your own considerations, but you have to think about it. My master was kind to all of you in the past. The current Alliance Master, who is my senior brother, has also been kind to all of you. Don't you want to avenge him? Don't worry. All of you have sacrificed everything for me and the Alliance. I, Lang Xinyue, will not mistreat all of you. In the future, no matter what you encounter, the Alliance will be the first to stand up for you. No matter the battle, you won't have to do anything. Furthermore, I can give you all a lifetime without worrying about food or clothing. When the time comes, the Alliance will become the true ruler of the Wind Cloud continent. You won't have to be afraid anymore. The crowd's hearts trembled. Yes, if the Freedom Alliance became the ruler of the Wind Cloud continent, who in the world could do anything to them? Miss Lang, I hope you can fulfill your promise. The Freedom Alliance will never abandon us. If you agree, we will contribute our abilities. All right, I, Lang Xinyue, can swear to the heavens that as long as you are willing to contribute your abilities, I won't abandon you as long as you don't do anything to harm me in the future. Lang Xinyue's eyes were cold. Provided that they did not do anything to betray her. Otherwise, she would not forgive them either. The crowd heaved a sigh of relief when they heard Lang Xinyue swear to the heavens. They slowly walked toward her. Wait. Just as the few ultimate gods walked up to Lang Xinyue suddenly raised his hand to stop them. I have something else to announce. What is it? When someone asked this question, Lang Xinyue raised his hand and ordered the two guards to bring Lian Yuexing over. He then threw her to the ground and retreated to the side. Lian Yuexing's mouth was gagged and she couldn't say a word. Her cold eyes were filled with anger as she stared coldly at Lang Xinyue. Lang Xinyue did not even glance at her. She sneered and said, "This woman is also in cahoots with Yunhua Qing. When I was fleeing, he captured her." Not many people in the Freedom Alliance had seen Princess Jingyong before, so they did not recognize her. Even if they recognized her, so what? Even if the other party was the Golden Sun Princess, as long as she said that this woman was related to Yunhua Qing, these people would definitely believe her. Someone who conspires with Yunhua Qing? Then we can't let this woman live either. Miss Lang, I mind killing this woman. Make Yunhua Qing regret this. Those people were about to rush forward and tear Lian Yuexing to shreds, but at this critical moment, Lang Xinyue stopped them once again. Chapter 2011. Do you think killing this woman will make Yunhua Qing regret it? You're wrong. Yunhua Qing has always been a ruthless person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so cruel to the Alliance Master. There's another reason why I caught this woman. She has a pure Yin body. Pure Yin body. Everyone's breathing quickened. Some of them looked at Lian Yuexing with sparkling eyes. Therefore, when the time comes, this woman will benefit our brothers in the Freedom Alliance. With her around, I believe that the Freedom Alliance's strength will increase very quickly. Lang Xinyue pushed Lian Yuexing forward and slightly raised his chin with a cold smile on his face. Lian Yuexing trembled with anger as she felt the undisguised stares. Her cold eyes were filled with uncontrollable anger as she glared at the people in front of her. Throw her into the herb cave. She'll be able to harvest Yin to replenish Yang in half a month. It was not enough for a pure Yin body to harvest Yin to replenish Yang. She needed to train with medicinal herbs, however, Anyone who saw the place known as the Medicine Cave would be so frightened that they would tremble. Lang Xingyue. The cloth in Lian Yuesheng's mouth had loosened at some point. She spat it out and spat it out. Immediately, she raised her clear and cold eyes and looked coldly at the expressionless Lang Xingyue. I, Lian Yuesheng, will never let you have your way even if I have to die. Lang Xingyue smiled disdainfully. You want to die in my Freedom Alliance? Once you enter the Herb Cave, you'll be in a state where you can neither live nor die. You won't even have the strength to move, let alone die. Men, hurry up and take her away. If she had to blame someone, she could only blame Lian Yuesheng for having a pure Yin body. Seeing such a body, not to mention men, even she, a woman, could not help but be tempted. After seeing Lian Yuesheng being taken away, Lang Xingyue looked at the others and said, Let's begin. Compared to the Jinyang Nation's ultimate gods, the Freedom Alliance obviously had more ultimate gods. However, when the former Alliance Master was still alive, he only sought stability and was unwilling to start a war. That was why the Fengyun continent was so peaceful. Of course, the Alliance Master had used a secret technique to enhance those ultimate gods. The others in the Freedom Alliance did not know about it. Therefore, there were only 10 ultimate gods in the entire Freedom Alliance. However, those ultimate gods' powers were enough for her to break through to the Divine Emperor realm. Not far away from the Alliance City, Qi Ling has been waiting here with a group of experts. After a while, he saw Qi Su and the others from the Purple Moon Kingdom and Tian Qi Kingdom. As for Golden Sun Country, having joined the Freedom Alliance, they naturally didn't have the face to appear in front of the other countries. Second Prince. Qi Su spotted Qi Ling at first glance and slowly walked towards him. Qi Ling nodded at him. You're here? That's right, Qi Su smiled faintly. I've already informed Miss Yun, she'll rush over here directly. Qi Ling was very polite to Qi Su. After all, Qi Su was Yun Luofeng's man, and the reason why he had his current status was also because of Yun Luofeng. More importantly, he had admired Qi Su before this. However, in the face of the Purple Moon Kingdom's General Yi Lin, he didn't have such a good temper. He just glanced at him coldly and said, You're late. Chapter 2012. Yi Lin was stunned. He wanted to say that Qi Su was also late. Why did you say that to me? But, thinking of Qi Ling's current status, he didn't dare to say a word. They're here. Suddenly, Qi Su seemed to feel something and raised his head. At that moment, a handsome man and a beautiful woman above the void came into his eyes. The couple stood hand in hand, beautiful like a painting that could topple a country, like a celestial couple. My mother didn't come? Yun Luofeng descended from the sky, looked at the people present and asked. Master is already here. She said that she will go to the Alliance City alone first. Let me come here to meet you. Mother went to the Alliance City alone. Yun Luofeng's eyes sank. Qi Su, Qi Ling, get ready to set off immediately. We are going to the Alliance City now. In the Purple Moon Kingdom's team, in addition to General Yi Lin, there is also a girl in red. This girl is heroic and elegant, and her appearance is somewhat similar to Yi Lin's. Presumably, she is his daughter. From the moment Yun Shao appeared, the girl's eyes have not left him. Of course, in the Purple Moon Kingdom, Yun Shao wore a mask to the world. Now beside Yun Luofeng, he did not wear a mask, so Yi Lin and his daughter did not recognize that he is the Ghost Emperor. Now when the girl in red saw Yun Luofeng giving orders, she suddenly shouted with some dissatisfaction. The leader is the second prince of Qi Ling. He is also one of the people who unified our 4 countries. He did not speak. What right do you have to order us? Yun Luofeng's cold eyes slowly passed the girl's face, did not even say a word, and walked in the direction of the Alliance City. Idiot! Qi Su walked in front of the girl in red and couldn't help but spit out these 2 words contemptuously, then quickly followed behind Yun Luofeng and disappeared. The girl's face turned from green to white, full of anger. She did not have time to vent the dissatisfaction in her heart. General Yi Lin, who was beside her, grabbed her. Yen, didn't you see that when that woman gave orders, the second prince of Tianqi Kingdom did not say a word? Presumably, the identity of this woman is not simple. You'd better not provoke her. Yi Yen bit her red lips as her eyes stared longingly at Yun Zhao's figure. Yi Lin naturally noticed her gaze and was stunned. Suddenly he frowned. Why do I feel that this man's figure is very familiar? Father, do you know him? I don't know him. It's just that I feel that his back is a little similar to the Ghost Emperor's. I don't know if it's just my imagination. Ghost Emperor? Yen laughed. Who in the Purple Moon Kingdom doesn't know that this ghost emperor is ugly? Otherwise, the princess wouldn't have fled in order to resist the marriage. How could such an ugly ghost emperor be such a handsome man? You must have recognized the wrong person. Hearing this, a dazed look flashed across Lin's eyes. Perhaps he had really made a mistake? Was there really someone in the world who could imagine such a figure? Even his temperament was different from the rest. In front of them, Yun Zhao's hand was wrapped around Yun Luofeng's waist. His handsome face was filled with frost. That woman kept staring at me. Yun Luofeng was stunned by his words and subconsciously looked at him. And then... So. Yun Zhao's face was serious. If she is still alive after this war, can I dig out her eyes? Yun Luofeng has long been accustomed to Yun Zhao's blood from time to time, so he was already used to it. The group of people behind her staggered and almost fell to the ground. Big brother, can you not say such cruel words with such a serious expression? Moreover, she just glanced at you and you want to dig out her eyes? Chapter 2013. At that moment, everyone's eyes landed on the two people in front of them. Their eyes were filled with shock and astonishment. Yun Luofeng walked in the direction of the Alliance City as if she hadn't heard what Yun Xiao had said. She was filled with murderous intent when she thought about how her mother had been treated in the Alliance City. At that moment, in the Alliance City, Bai Ling was dressed in a snow-white dress as she walked into the city slowly. She raised her head slightly and looked at the Alliance City that she had lived in for more than 10 years. She looked a little dazed. At that moment, a group of people sensed Bai Ling's approach. They immediately descended from the sky and placed countless swords on her neck. Yun Yueqing, how dare you come back? The Freedom Alliance saved you, but you killed the Alliance leader. We must avenge him. Bai Ling narrowed her eyes and glanced at everyone coldly. She opened her thin lips and said slowly, I'm here for Lang Xinyue. Get her out here right now. Among the group of people, one of them replied to Bai Ling with a sneer. Miss Lang is right. You're the one who caused the death of the Alliance leader and many experts in the Alliance. Now, you still want to kill the only survivor, Miss Lang? Bai Ling, has your conscience been eaten by a dog? Bai Ling couldn't be bothered to talk to these people. In a flash, she passed through the layers of sword gleams and flew into the sky with a swoosh. Lang Xinyue, get your ass out here right now. Her voice was bone-chilling in the sky and it echoed in the air. However, at that moment, a bolt of lightning suddenly flashed not far ahead and struck down fiercely at a house. Bai Ling squinted her eyes slightly, and her breathing quickened. Sir God. Someone was actually breaking through to Sir God at this time? Could it be? Bai Ling quickly charged toward the place where the lightning struck when she thought of that possibility. The heavenly lightning was extremely ferocious. Layer after layer of lightning continuously fell. Under the heavenly lightning, the house was smashed into ruins. The woman who was sitting cross-legged in the house also came into Bai Ling's sight. The lightning dissipated. Lang Xinyue's eyes widened. She felt the power in her body. Then she looked at Bai Ling, who was standing nearby, and her lips curled into a mocking smile. Yun Yueqing, it seems like you also never imagined that such a day would come. She slowly stood up from the ground, her chin raised high, her face full of arrogance. Around her, a group of elders were also sitting cross-legged. At this moment, their faces were pale from exhaustion and their bodies were covered in cold sweat. When they saw Bai Ling, the uninvited guest, their eyes were filled with anger. Yun Yueqing, how dare you come back? Previously, you were disrespectful to the old Alliance Master. Before the old Alliance Master's corpse was even cold, you dared to covet the seal. Later, because the Alliance Master discovered your secret, you killed them. How can a woman like you be so vicious? Even an ingrate wouldn't go as far as you. Fortunately, Miss Lang has already broken through to become a divine monarch. It's impossible for you to harm our Freedom Alliance's people anymore. Bai Ling looked at Lang Xinyue. After hearing the words of these old men, how could she not know that Lang Xinyue was actually making up stories about her behind her back? So this is how Lang Xinyue and Olay explained it to you. At the end of the day, Bai Ling still had a lot of feelings for the Freedom Alliance. She didn't want these people to be used by Lang Xinyue. Chapter 2014. Thus, she ignored the murderous gazes and continued. But do you really think that Master Seal can be found so easily? Apart from Master, who else knows where his seal is? Everyone was stunned. Previously, They had been blinded by anger and hadn't considered this issue at all. Even though a few of them felt that something was wrong, most of them suppressed it. Yunyue Qing, don't twist words. What evidence do you have to prove that Master gave you the seal? Lang Xinyue's aura suddenly rose. Even the air around her became extremely stifling. First, I didn't say that I had the seal. Why are you so sure that it is in my hands? Bai Ling looked at Lang Xinyue coldly and asked expressionlessly. Of course it was you who stole it back then. Now that the Alliance leader is dead and I have broken through to the Divine Monarch realm, I should be the Alliance leader of the Freedom Alliance. Why don't you hand over the things you stole? They belong to me. Lang Xinyue gritted her teeth in hatred. They were both disciples of Master. Why did Master give the seal to a woman like Yunyue Qing? What right did Yunyue Qing have to be treated differently by Master? Bai Ling couldn't be bothered with Lang Xinyue. She turned to look at the other elders. Don't you know what I have done in the Freedom Alliance for the past decade? How Master treats me and how I treat Master. Can't you see it too? Now, just because of a few words from Lang Xinyue, you have decided that I am guilty. How can I not be disappointed in the Freedom Alliance? The elders were speechless for a moment, and they all remained silent. Bai Ling smiled coldly. Moreover, the people of the 4 nations are also at the gates. Do you really think that a fake divine lord like Lang Xinyue can defend against the 4 nations? No, you are wrong. She will only drag the Freedom Alliance into the deep sea hell. I still have some feelings for the Freedom Alliance. I thought that if you were willing to help me take down Lang Xinyue, I would let the Freedom Alliance go. Unfortunately, I came too late. You actually passed on your abilities to her. As the old Alliance leader's most beloved disciple, how could Bai Ling not know about the forbidden skills that the old Alliance leader possessed? Now, when he saw the heavenly lightning that was so weak that it seemed to have no power at all, he knew that Lang Xinyue was a fake. Yes. Bai Ling saw that the elders did not speak and continued. Master's seal is indeed in my hands. However, this was indeed something that Master secretly gave me before he died. If you don't believe me, I can show it to you right now. Lang Xinyue furrowed her brows, but she wasn't too worried. Yunyue Qing wouldn't be able to cause any more trouble anyway. Bai Ling didn't pay any attention to Lang Xinyue. She took out a seal from her bosom and infused her spiritual energy into it. At the same time, a message was transmitted from the seal. I, Shen Luo, as the leader of the Freedom Alliance, pass on the position of leader to my disciple, Yunyue Qing. From now on, the Freedom Alliance will listen to her commands. Protect him. As soon as he finished speaking, the eyes of some elderly people in the crowd were already brimming with tears. Tears could not help but flow down their aged faces. It's the old Alliance Master's voice. It's the old Alliance Master. Chapter 2015. Lang Xinyue's face turned green on the spot. She never thought that there would be something else hidden in the seal. It was her master's will? In reality, Bai Ling had discovered this by chance some time ago. Otherwise, she would have used this seal to return to the Freedom Alliance long ago. Unfortunately, she had discovered it too late. That was why Lang Xinyue and Olay had been acting like tyrants in the Freedom Alliance for so many days. Elders, could it be that you really believe Bai Ling's words? Perhaps this is just a fake that she made. I've never heard of a will being stored in a seal. Lang Xinyue gritted her teeth as she spoke. Her gaze towards Bai Ling was filled with murderous intent. A few people in the group heard Lang Xinyue's words and their elderly faces immediately changed. In the end, they said in a conflicted tone, I remember that when the old Alliance leader made this seal, he told us that a will was stored in the seal. That's why I believe that this will is real. Previously, because the seal was lost, we couldn't obtain this will. However, we never thought that. They never thought that the tables would turn so quickly. Lang Xinyue's eyes darkened and a cold light burst forth from them. Her eyes were cold and stern as she said, Everyone, this will alone doesn't prove anything. Perhaps Master was forced by her? Could it be that you'd rather believe this woman than the Alliance leader or me? She raised her hand and pointed at Bai Ling. Lang Xinyue didn't just want Bai Ling's death. She wanted to ruin her reputation even more. Only then would she be able to wash away her shame. At that moment, all the elders froze. Their faces were filled with astonishment and anger as they stared at Lang Xinyue in unison. Lang Xinyue did not understand what she had said wrong for these old men to look at her in such a manner. Miss Lang, Did you say that the old alliance leader was forced? Then let me ask you, did you know the old alliance leader? Was he someone who could be easily coerced? You also said that you and the alliance leader had seen Yun Yueqing searching for the old alliance leader's seal. Since she was able to coerce the old alliance leader into leaving a will in the seal, why would she need to rummage through the place? Furthermore, if she knew about the existence of this will, she wouldn't have stayed outside for so many years. Perhaps she would have returned to the alliance a long time ago. Therefore, I conclude that Yun Yueqing must have found out about this will not too long ago. All the elders' expressions were filled with grief and indignation. At this moment, how could they not understand that everyone had been deceived by this woman, Lang Xinyue? Lang Xinyue's expression changed a few times, but she quickly regained her composure. A cold smile hung on her lips as she looked at the elders mockingly. That's right, I was the one who made this up. So what? Don't you think it's too late? Haha. Suddenly, Lang Xinyue began to laugh wildly. Under her arrogant laughter, the sky changed color, and a cold wind suddenly blew. Yes. Even if they knew the truth now, it was already too late. The current Lang Xinyue had become the strongest person in the Windy Continent, and no one could match him. Lang Xinyue, you're despicable. An elderly man pointed at Lang Xinyue angrily. How dare you use us? Lang Xinyue stopped laughing and laughed icily. Then you can only blame yourselves for being too stupid. A few words from me were enough to make you believe me so easily. Besides, there's one thing I haven't lied about. My alliance leader senior brother Olay was indeed killed by Ling's men. Chapter 2016. The reason I want your power is to avenge him. Lang Xinyue's eyes flashed with murderous intent as she slowly walked toward Bai Ling, Yun Yueqing. What's wrong with the alliance master? Why did you hurt him so much? In my opinion, you've climbed up the alliance master's social ladder, but you're so rude. With every step she took, an oppressive aura arose. The woman lifted her chin slightly, showing off her arrogance and indifference. However, Bai Ling's expression did not change under such a strong oppressive aura. Her snow-white dress fluttered in the breeze. Lang Xinyue was very jealous in her heart. From the moment Whitey arrived at the Freedom Alliance, her original position in the Freedom Alliance was in danger. The young geniuses that originally surrounded her now surrounded Whitey. It was also that day that she secretly swore that one day, she would surpass that woman. Now, she finally achieved her goal. Thinking about how she could trample Bai Ling under her feet, the corners of her lips curled up even more. Her slightly raised eyes were filled with disdain. Stop! Seeing Lang Xinyue walk in front of Bai Ling, the elders who were still grieving finally moved. They angrily charged towards her. A ruthless glint flashed in Lang Xinyue's eyes. She regained her senses and punched out. The body of the old man closest to her was instantly blasted open with a bloody hole. The surrounding people were also affected and swept away. Previously, these old men were all ultimate god experts with high statuses. However, now they were just ordinary people. How could they withstand Lang Xinyue's attack? A single breath from Lang Xinyue would probably be enough to crush them into pieces. Elder Shi! Bai Ling's eyes suddenly changed. Her white dress streaked across the sky, and instantly appeared in front of the old man who fell to the ground. Elder Shi, how are you? When Elder Shi heard this, he raised his eyes with difficulty. Looking at the familiar face in front of him, he used all his strength to roar, "Quick, run!" After saying that, he gradually closed his eyes. His palm also slipped from Bai Ling's hand to the ground, losing all signs of life. Those old men, due to their ignorance, believed Bai Ling's words. However, now, he lost his life because of her. No matter how wrong they were, at that moment, Bai Ling could not hate them. There was only grief and helplessness in her heart. Even though the other elders were also injured, they were much better off than Elder Shi. At least they didn't lose their lives, right? Lang Xinyue, to think that we trusted you so much. We even transferred our strength to you for the sake of avenging the Alliance Master. But now I know how stupid I was. Not only did I harm Yu Qing, but I also harmed the entire Freedom Alliance. A white-haired old man stood up with some difficulty. His expression was resolute. Today, I will make up for the mistakes we have made. Yu Qing, hurry up and leave the Freedom Alliance. Go as far as you can. It was our Freedom Alliance that harmed you. Now it's time for us to atone for our sins. Bai Ling slowly placed Elder Shi's body on the ground. She gradually stood up, her fine black hair fluttering in the wind and her white robes were whiter than snow. She stared coldly at Lang Xinyue as killing intent radiated from her body. The reason I came here today is to seek revenge on Lang Xinyue. How can I leave so easily? Yu Qing. The white-haired old man's expression changed. He looked anxious too. Bai Ling did not seem to see it and continued to walk towards Lang Xinyue. Chapter 2017. Today, I will settle the score with you for killing Elder Shi as well. Lang Xinyue looked Bai Ling up and down, and the corners of her lips curled into a disdainful smile. It seems like your poison hasn't been completely removed? That day, you were just lying to me. Moreover, even if you've removed the poison, you're still no match for me. Indeed, I'm no match for you right now, but I dare to fight with my life. You dare to fight with someone like me who doesn't even care about your life? Bai Ling's expression was filled with killing intent. With a wave of her hand, a long sword appeared in her hand. Yun Luofeng was about to arrive. She had to get rid of Lang Xinyue before Yun Luofeng arrived. It was better than letting her daughter face such danger. Even if she lost her life because of it, she would not hesitate. Hee. Lang Xinyue chuckled. If you want to die, I can grant your wish. Outside the Alliance City, the armies of the three countries were already at the city gates. Yun Shao and Yun Luofeng walked at the very front. One of them was dressed in clothes as white as snow, while the other was dressed in black like an eagle. When they stood together, they were a perfect match. Kill them. As Yun Luofeng's words fell, the armies of the three countries broke through the city gates and charged into the city. The people of the Freedom Alliance did not know what had happened on Lang Xinyue and Yun Yueqing's side, so they naturally obeyed Lang Xinyue's orders and attacked the group of uninvited guests. Outside the city gates, blood flowed like a river, and corpses were strewn everywhere. Yun Luofeng stood among the mountain of corpses as if he stood at the peak of the continent. His aura was powerful, and his expression did not change. No matter how strong the Alliance City's army was, they could not withstand the attacks of the three countries. They were instantly defeated, and in a short while, they were utterly defeated by the armies of the three countries and quickly dispersed. Ignore them, let's continue. Yun Luofeng frowned. Perhaps because he thought of Bai Ling charging into the city, his footsteps involuntarily quickened. Alliance Palace. In the depths of the residence, Lang Xinyue's palm landed on Bai Ling's chest, causing her to retreat a few steps. She felt a fishy taste in her throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. Bai Ling wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, and her figure flashed as she once again charged toward Lang Xinyue. This battle was destined to have no suspense. Bai Ling's poison was not completely clear, and with the disparity in their levels, she was not Lang Xinyue's match. Hence, under Lang Xinyue's attack, her body suffered serious damage. But, soon, the group of old men below discovered a special characteristic. That was, Bai Ling did not deliberately avoid Lang Xinyue's attack. Instead, she focused all of her power on attacking. But this was a completely reckless fighting style. He would rather lose 1,000 men than injure the enemy 800. For a moment, all the elders blamed themselves endlessly. If they hadn't trusted Lang Xinyue, how could such a thing have happened? If Bai Ling died, they would be too ashamed to face the old alliance master in the afterlife. Yun Yueqing, you're not my match. Lang Xinyue flipped his palm and a sharp sword pierced through the sky. A sharp light radiated out from the void, bringing with it a cold temperature. If this sword landed, even if Bai Ling did not die, she would be severely injured. However, she still did not intend to avoid this attack. At the same time, her long sword floated into the sky and ruthlessly slashed at Lang Xinyue. If Lang Xinyue planned to continue attacking, she would also be injured. Even though she had already broken through to the Divine Lord level, she had not stabilized her cultivation. If this sword landed, she would still be injured. Chapter 2018. If other experts arrived at that time, she would be forced into a passive state. So Lang Xinyue quickly withdrew her attack and turned to face the long sword in the sky. Boom! A loud sound came from the void and light waves spread across the sky, causing the air to tremble. Bai Ling's body was affected by this force and she quickly retreated. Yun Yueqing, you're crazy! Lang Xinyue was furious. She glared fiercely at Bai Ling. Bai Ling laughed coldly. I've said it before. I don't care about my life. That's why I can disregard my own life and fight you to the death. But you treasure your life so much. No, I should say that you're even afraid of getting injured. How are you going to fight me then? Lang Xinyue's eyes darkened. She wasn't afraid of getting injured. She was afraid of the cold-blooded man who had killed the Alliance Master. If she was at her peak, she might be able to fight him. If she was injured, she might not be able to defeat him. That was why she didn't dare to let herself get injured. Only then would she have the confidence to defeat that man when he arrived. Lang Xinyue, you've always been a coward. You can only bully the weak, but you're afraid of unreasonable people. Bai Ling's words undoubtedly struck Lang Xinyue's heart. She flew into a rage out of humiliation. Yun Yueqing, if you keep spouting nonsense, I'll tear your mouth apart. What? You're worried and you won't allow me to say it? Bai Ling had already walked up to Lang Xinyue. When I first came to the Alliance, I was much weaker than you. However, I was able to surpass you in such a short period of time. This proves that you'll never be able to match up to me in this lifetime. Lang Xinyue was so angry that her chest was about to explode. Flames of anger surged out of her, but she still retained a trace of rationality. She sneered and said, Yun Yueqing, don't even think about provoking me. I won't fall for your trick. She could tell that Bai Ling was trying to provoke her so that she would risk her life to fight her. If that happened, even if she killed this woman, how good would it be for her? Bai Ling's eyes turned cold. This woman had actually become smarter? She had indeed wanted to provoke her earlier. But unexpectedly, Lang Xinyue did not fall for it. I know that the man who killed the Alliance Master last time is also here. You want to anger me so that I will be injured while fighting you. At that time that man will be able to easily kill me, right? Lang Xinyue believed herself to be very smart, and nothing could escape her eyes. Looks like that man is still very afraid of me. Otherwise, he wouldn't have hidden himself and let you come out to fight with me. Right now, all of you only dare to challenge me because you see that I have just broken through to Divine Lord and my cultivation is not stable enough. In a few more days, even if all of you join forces, you will definitely not be a match for me. She did not know where Lang Xinyue got her confidence from, to think that Yun Xiao was hiding because she was afraid of her. But from the bottom of her heart, she believed that if there was no one secretly following her, Bai Ling would not have come alone to provoke her. So, I'll let you off today. There's still a long way to go, and there'll come a day when we're done. After saying that, Lang Xinyue turned around and leapt into the void. With a flash, he quickly rushed towards a nearby location. Unfortunately, Lang Xinyue had only taken a few steps when she was blocked by two people. It was a handsome man and a beautiful woman. They were so beautiful that they looked like an immortal couple from a painting. However, Lang Xinyue could easily sense the pressure coming from these two people. Chapter 2019. Feng Shao, why are you two here? Bai Ling was shocked. She did not expect Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao to arrive so quickly. Mother, this time I've come to avenge you. Yun Luofeng smiled faintly. Lang Xinyue, where do you want to go now? Are you going to let go of the grievances between you and my mother? Lang Xinyue's eyes darkened, and he laughed mockingly. What? After hiding in the dark for so long, you dare to come out? You keep calling her Yun Yu stomach cleanser, but I don't think you care much about your mother. Otherwise, you wouldn't have used her as bait and used her life to hurt me. Yun Luofeng frowned. He didn't understand what Lang Xinyue was talking about, but he couldn't be bothered to waste his breath on her. Yun Xiao, I want to take revenge for my mother myself. Just watch from the side. Yun Xiao glanced at Yun Luofeng and lightly nodded. All right. Seeing Yun Luofeng's confident expression, Lang Xinyue laughed out loud once again. Little girl, I admit that you're quite talented, but if you think you can defeat a divine lord like me, aren't you being too delusional? Yun Luofeng's lips curled up. If you were a true divine lord, perhaps I would need to expend some effort to deal with you. It's a pity that this Sir God of yours is merely a fake. Her voice rang out slowly in the quiet void, causing Lang Xinyue's expression to change drastically once again. Seeing Lang Xinyue's expression, Yun Luofeng crossed his arms over his chest and slightly raised his chin. With a faint smile, he said, to deal with a fake divine sovereign like you, there's naturally no need for my husband to do anything. I'm afraid you'll dirty her hands. In reality, Yun Luofeng only wanted to personally teach Lang Xinyue a lesson, which was why he didn't let Yun Xiao make a move. After all, Lang Xinyue had caused Bai Ling to suffer so much, so how could she possibly let her off? How arrogant! Lang Xinyue snorted coldly and leapt forward. A powerful force accompanied her attack as it pressed towards Yun Luofeng. At this moment, a strong gust of wind rose. Under this strong wind, Yun Luofeng's hair danced in the wind, and his white robe gave off an otherworldly feeling. Boom! Just as Lang Xinyue's sword landed on Yun Luofeng's body, Yun Luofeng's body was suddenly enveloped by a tough dragon-scale armor. With a clang, Lang Xinyue's palm trembled. Her arm felt numb, and a terrifying light appeared in her eyes. This dragon-scale armor was a treasure. Yun Luofeng naturally noticed her gaze. His lips curled up slightly. You want my dragon-scale armor? Giving you such a treasure is a complete waste. In other words, only a Sir God like her was worthy of wearing the dragon-scale armor. It's not impossible if you want it. Use your own abilities to get it. Yun Luofeng glanced at her with an evil smile. After all, there were many people who fancied my dragon-scale armor in the beginning, but those people are all dead. As the last sentence fell, the murderous aura on Yun Luofeng's body became even more intense. Even the surrounding temperature became gloomy. It was so oppressive that it made it hard for people to breathe. That's because they're too stupid, and I am different from those people. Lang Xinyue said coldly. Today, I will defeat you and make you pay for your arrogance. However, just as Lang Xinyue charged towards Yun Luofeng, she suddenly staggered and fell headfirst in front of Yun Luofeng with a thud. Chapter 2020. Everyone was dumbfounded, their faces full of shock. No one knew what had happened. Wasn't this Lang Xinyue very aggressive just now? Why did he suddenly give Yun Luofeng such a big bow? Lang Xinyue was also stunned. She crawled up in shame, but after taking a few steps, her calf went numb and she fell to the ground once more. The person you let down is my mother. You don't need to bow to me. If you want to apologize, you should look for her, Yun Luofeng said with a faint smile. Lang Xinyue was about to explode. Who said she bowed because she felt guilty? It was clearly because you're courting death. She gritted her teeth and angrily fell down again. But just like the previous 2 times, she couldn't touch Yun Luofeng and fell again. Her entire head hit the ground, and she was in so much pain that she saw stars. Who was it? Who ambushed me from behind? Lang Xinyue roared angrily. After roaring, she was completely stunned. She was already at the Divine Lord realm. Could it be that the person who ambushed her was stronger than her? Yun Luofeng turned his gaze to Yun Xiao. The smile in his eyes made Yun Xiao feel a little guilty. I didn't dirty my hands. Yun Xiao really thought that Yun Luofeng didn't let him do anything because he was afraid of dirtying his hands. Seeing Yun Luofeng smile and not say a word, Yun Xiao felt even more guilty. Also, I didn't do anything. Then what did you do just now? Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows and asked. At this moment, everyone turned to look at Yun Xiao. Their eyes were filled with shock. The person who unknowingly ambushed Lang Xinyue was actually him? Facing Yun Luofeng's question, Yun Xiao very sincerely replied, I used my feet. That's right, he used his feet. He just used his feet to kick a stone on the ground and hit Lang Xinyue's numbing acupoint. From start to finish, he didn't do anything at all. You ambushed me? When Lang Xinyue saw that the person who ambushed her was Yun Xiao, she was so angry that she lost her mind. She didn't forget that the person who killed the alliance leader was also this man. Thus, she rushed towards Yun Luofeng in a daze, the sword in her hand flashing with a cold light. Yun Xiao's brows furrowed lightly as his aura surged out, causing the entire heaven and earth to become dark. Scram! Boom! With this shout, a powerful wave of light seemed to gather in front of him. This wave of light fiercely slammed into Lang Xinyue's chest, and her body was instantly sent flying. In the void, the man stood with his hands behind his back. His black clothes were cold and his pitch-black eyes were filled with killing intent. If Yun Luofeng hadn't said that he would personally teach her a lesson to avenge his mother-in-law, then he would have already killed her. Lang Xinyue fell to the ground, blood gushing out endlessly. Her eyes were wide open, filled with disbelief. You are a divine lord? No. Impossible. I remember you were only an ultimate god when you were in Nemesis Forest half a month ago. How did he become a divine lord after half a month? Bai Ling also looked at Yun Xiao curiously. I also want to know, how did you make a breakthrough in the past half a month? This was supposed to be a simple and ordinary sentence, but it made Yun Xiao blush magically. How could he tell his mother-in-law that the reason he was able to become a divine lord was also because of the results of dual cultivation for half a month? Chapter 2021. Yes. In this half a month, Yun Xiao, who was on the verge of breaking through, had also become a divine lord. Moreover, he was different from Lang Xinyue's fake divine lord. His divine lord was the real deal. His strength was not something Lang Xinyue could compare to. Mother, Yun Xiao obtained a fortuitous encounter earlier, so he broke through. Seeing Yun Xiao's embarrassment, Yun Luofeng stepped forward to help him out. Bai Ling was still puzzled. Since he obtained a fortuitous encounter, then why was Yun Xiao blushing? Cough cough. Lang Xinyue lay on the ground and coughed. A bit of power leaked out of her mouth. Feeling this bit of power, Yun Luofeng's expression turned serious and he said, Yun Xiao, expel the power he swallowed. Lang Xinyue, who was still thinking about how to escape, suddenly heard these words. She was so frightened that her expression changed greatly. She raised her head in shock, only to see that the black-clothed grim man was already right in front of her. With a boom, an incomparably powerful force heavily struck her chest. Lang Xinyue spat out another mouthful of blood. The power he swallowed was also continuously extracted out of his mouth. As this power leaked out, Lang Xinyue felt the spirit energy in her body gradually decrease. This feeling caused her to turn pale with fright, and her face was filled with terror. But Yun Xiao never had tender feelings for the fairer sex. His attacks became even more ferocious, and Lang Xinyue could not endure it at all. The power in her mouth formed a ball and was continuously extracted. Roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar resounded through the world. It was unknown when the little bug had appeared in front of Yun Luofeng, but it quickly swam towards Lang Xinyue. It opened its mouth and swallowed the overflowing power from Lang Xinyue. The moment the power was swallowed, the little worm's body rapidly expanded. From a little worm, it became a huge dragon. Dark clouds filled the sky. Heavenly lightning crashed down and fiercely struck the little worm's body. The little worm's body trembled in pain. The Freedom Alliance's elders were all scared silly. This power was considered a foreign object. Forcefully increasing it would definitely affect it. This was also why when Lang Xinyue broke through, the sound of the heavenly lightning was so soft. That was because the heavenly lightning understood that Lang Xinyue was completely useless. But now, the heavenly lightning was too powerful, as if it wanted to ruthlessly strike this dragon to death. Azure wings! Yun Luofeng lightly shouted. Yun Yi's muscular body suddenly stood in front of the little worm. He opened his arms and welcomed the thunderbolt that came crashing down. Boom! Boom boom boom! Thunder and lightning fell fiercely, shaping Yun Yi's body even more perfectly. His silhouette also became clearer. His face, which could not be found in a crowd, was particularly dazzling, and his temperament was incomparably powerful. After a while, the lightning disappeared. Yun Yi descended and slowly walked towards Yun Luofeng. And so, Yun Luofeng heard Yun Yi speak for the first time in his life. Master! His pronunciation was not very accurate, and his voice was a little stiff. He sounded like a beginner, confused and ignorant. Surprise flashed in Yun Luofeng's eyes. Yun Yi, you can talk? Azure Wing was a puppet that only knew how to obey orders. It could not think or speak. But now, Azure Wing could actually speak without a soul? Chapter 2022. Suddenly, Yun Luofeng thought of the records in Ju Qian book. A real puppet was no different from a human being. No one would recognize its identity if it was placed in a crowd. However, even Ju Qian could not perfect this method. Now, he happened to discover it? Lightning! Yun Luofeng's expression was a little enlightened. It was the heavenly thunder that completed the azure wings and gave him human emotions. Yun Yi, you've worked hard. Go and rest first. Yun Luofeng did not see the shocked expressions of the others as he calmly instructed. All right. Yun Yi's voice was very hoarse. As he had just gained consciousness, his expression was a little confused. However, the others sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw the azure wings. Divine Lord! It was actually another divine lord. Moreover, this divine lord called Yun Luofeng Master. Oh, that's right. The giant dragon that swallowed Lang Xinyue's power had also broken through to divine lord. Who else in the Fengyun continent could be Yun Luofeng's opponent? Yi Yen, the daughter of the Purple Moon Kingdom's General Yi Lin, was already trembling in fear after seeing the strength of Yun Luofeng's side. Initially, she had wanted to spy on Yun Shao, but now, she did not even dare to have that thought. Who asked this woman to be so terrifying? A dragon that was a divine lord and a puppet that was also a divine lord. Wasn't she courting death by stealing her man? Fortunately, her father kept stopping her. Otherwise, she would have died without a corpse. After the power was released, Lang Xinyue's strength returned to ultimate god level. She coughed up another mouthful of blood and glared at Bai Ling with resentment. She wanted to say something to Yun Luofeng, but she no longer had the strength to speak. So, she finally closed her eyes slowly and lost all signs of life. After Lang Xinyue's death, the people from the three kingdoms surrounded the entire Freedom Alliance. The group of elders' hearts tightened as their voices trembled. Misunderstanding. This is all a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes slightly. If it was a misunderstanding, would you have passed your powers to Lang Xinyue? The elders' expressions changed. They knew that they were in the wrong. Facing Yun Luofeng's questioning, they couldn't say a word. Bai Ling sighed. Forget it. Seeing that they wanted to save me at the very last moment, I'll spare them. Also, send people to properly bury Elder Shi. No matter how many mistakes they made before, they were all deceived by Lang Xinyue. Yu Qing. The group of elders sighed in relief. Now that Lang Xinyue is dead, are you willing to inherit the Freedom Alliance and become its leader? Bai Ling glanced at the group of elders and slowly said, the Freedom Alliance no longer needs a leader. Yu Qing. Everyone's expression changed. Bai Ling was the Freedom Alliance's only hope. How could they give it up so easily? Yu Qing, you're the only one left in our Freedom Alliance. Do you want us old bones to continue taking charge? Plus, we've already lost our powers. The Freedom Alliance might not be willing to listen to us. Bai Ling shook her head. Master established the Freedom Alliance so that the strong in the world wouldn't be oppressed by the four kingdoms. Now that the four kingdoms belong to my daughter, we must change the rules and regulations. Therefore, there's no need for the Freedom Alliance to exist anymore. Chapter 2023. But. No buts. Bai Ling turned to look at Yun Luofeng. I will dissolve the Freedom Alliance. This mainland doesn't need the Freedom Alliance anymore. She wasn't willing to become the leader of the Freedom Alliance. Right now, she just wanted to be by her daughter's side. That was enough. All right, I will order the four nations to not force any powerful cultivators to join the nations. Yun Luofeng thought for a moment. But I have something more important to do right now. Then, she turned to look at the people of the Freedom Alliance. Where is the Golden Sun Country's princess? Golden Sun Country's princess? The group was confused. We've never seen her. Never seen her? Yun Luofeng frowned. Lang Xinyue took her away so he would definitely place her in the Freedom Alliance. Why haven't you seen her? Or are you still not willing to tell the truth? Her voice was full of menace. Yun Shao also glanced over coldly. His murderous intent obvious. Wait. One of them seemed to have recalled something and said, Lang Xinyue did bring a woman back but he didn't say who she was. Is she the Golden Sun Princess you mentioned? Yun Luofeng's eyes narrowed. Where is she? She. The person was a bit guilty. Golden Sun Princess said she has a pure Yin body and can help men increase their cultivation. So, she was thrown into the herb cave. It's been so many days. She must have been nurtured. I'm afraid the geniuses of the Freedom Alliance. He didn't finish his sentence but his meaning was clear. Yun Luofeng released his aura and said coldly, Lead the way. Yes. The person broke out in a cold sweat. He was praying that Golden Sun Princess was still unharmed. Otherwise, the entire Freedom Alliance would be finished. Even Yu Qing wouldn't protect them. Inside the medicine cave, the woman's body was tightly curled up into a ball. She could feel the densely packed insects drilling into her body, causing her to tremble in pain. However, she still bit her lips and didn't make a sound. At this moment, the the door to the herb cave was opened. A young man walked in and scooped up Lien Yueshing, who was almost unable to move. It's about time. It's time for us brothers to enjoy ourselves. Ha! The young man laughed impudently. Long before this, Lang Xinyue had made them wait here for Lien Yueshing. Therefore, they did not know what had happened earlier. During this period of time, Lien Yueshing had been suffering both mental and physical torture. What was placed in the medicine cave was not medicinal herbs, but some poisonous insects that had been fed with medicine since she was young. These poisonous insects would drill into her body from time to time, leaving behind their venom to perfect her pure Yin body. But Lien Yueshing looked down and a cold light flashed in her eyes. She clenched her fists tightly and her heart was filled with coldness. The young man dragged Lien Yueshing out of the herb cavern. Soon, he dragged her to a back mountain. There were countless young men waiting for her in the courtyard. Some of them even smiled at her lewdly. We are really lucky this time. Not only is this woman beautiful, she also has a pure Yin body. With her help, my strength will break through even faster. Chapter 2024. But why are we doing this at the back of the mountain? TSK, you have no idea. Our Alliance City's back of the mountain is filled with spiritual herbs. With the help of these spiritual herbs, we can cultivate faster. Anyway, this woman can't escape, so we don't have to worry. That's true. I don't think she has the guts to jump off the cliff. After all, there's a rather powerful spiritual beast suppressed at the bottom of the cliff. Jumping down is equivalent to suicide. As the saying goes, a bad life is better than a good death. No matter what, it's better than death. The youths were chatting with one another and laughing out loud. None of them noticed Lien Yueshing's darkening expression. Lien Yueshing suddenly smiled. Her smile was different from the previous cold one. It was so beautiful that it moved people's hearts. Do you guys want to dual cultivate with me that much? Her voice was soft and tender, making one's bones go numb. Why don't you go first? Suddenly, Lien Yueshing pointed at a skinny man with a glint in her eyes. The man did not expect the beauty to take a liking to him at first glance. He was delighted and took off his clothes. Laughing, he pounced at Lien Yueshing. The others were not in a hurry. After all, they had their share of the beauty. That was enough. The skinny man was completely unguarded against a beauty like Lien Yueshing. Just as he pounced in front of her, he saw a dagger suddenly appear in the beauty's hand and hold it against his neck. Lien Yueshing's smile disappeared completely. Her expression turned cold as she shouted sternly, "Don't move. Otherwise I'll kill him." Everyone was stunned at first, then they sneered. Do you think we'll let you go by capturing him? What a joke. Miss Lang will never let you leave. Do you not even have the ability to walk out of this back of the mountain? Lien Yueshing narrowed her eyes slightly. I'm not trying to escape. I just don't want you guys to get close to me. As she said that, Lang Xinyue's body retreated toward the cliff. The group of people laughed out loud. Young lady, it's better if you don't resist. You can't threaten us. If we kill him, we'll have one less competitor. Why should we save? Just as the young man finished his sentence, he suddenly realized Lien Yueshing's intention. He was so scared that his soul almost left his body. Quick, stop her. This woman wants to jump off the cliff. However, it was too late. Lien Yueshing, who was carrying the thin man, leaned back and fell towards the cliff at the same time. She let go of her hand, allowing the terrified man to fall off the cliff first. She also saw him fall into a bloody mouth. That's fine too. It was better to be a broken piece of jade than an intact tile. Even if she was swallowed by that ferocious beast, it was better than being humiliated by those people. Lien Yueshing closed her eyes and her lips curled into a faint smile. At this moment, she felt an arm wrap around her waist, and her falling body also stopped at this moment. Her body trembled, and she opened her eyes slightly. What came into view was the side of a beautiful face. The woman's facial features were exquisite, and there was a domineering aura between her brows. She was dressed in a snow-white dress, and she looked like a celestial who had descended to the mortal world. That hand had even dragged her out of the abyss of evil. Even Yueshing's heart couldn't help but tremble at this moment. Her eyes that were originally filled with despair were now tinged with a hint of hope. Why was she here? Did he come to save her? Why? They had never met before. Chapter 2025. While Lian Yuesheng was having mixed feelings, Yun Luofeng's body had already landed firmly on the ground. Her eyes swept across the crowd of geniuses with a piercingly cold gaze, sending chills down everyone's spines. So the Freedom Alliance isn't that great after all. She let go of the woman in her arms and walked towards the prodigies with light steps. Who are you? How dare you barge into our Freedom Alliance? The prodigies were shocked, but they still pulled out their weapons and pointed at Yun Luofeng. I'm here to kill scum like you. Yun Luofeng's lips curled into a smile, and he waved his hand, causing a gust of wind to spring up. Before the group of people could even react, they felt their bodies being struck, and were sent flying backward. They landed right in front of the elder who brought Yun Luofeng. Elder, you're finally here. The prodigy was overjoyed, but before he could speak, he was interrupted by the elder's cold voice. We were tricked by Lang Xinyue. The previous leader has already passed his seal to Yu Qing and left behind a will. Even what he said before was fabricated by the previous leader. This lady is Yu Qing's daughter. The other person who was almost humiliated by you guys is the princess of Jinyang country. The expressions of the geniuses changed drastically, and they even forgot to beg for mercy for a moment. Good luck to all of you. The elder sighed helplessly. He glanced at the dumbfounded prodigies one last time before heading down the mountain. Lian Yuesheng stared at the woman in white in front of her. She had mixed feelings. The person she saw as her family pushed her out personally. Instead, it was a stranger she had never met before. Extended a helping hand to her? How could she not be disappointed? Lady! The group of geniuses finally understood from the elder's words. They no longer had the arrogance they had before, and knelt on the ground with a thud. Please let us go. We had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai, and mistakenly believed Lang Xinyue's slanderous words. Please forgive us this time. We won't dare to do it again. He kowtowed so hard that a bruise appeared on his forehead, but he didn't seem to feel it. Not long after, blood flowed from his forehead. However, he could only feel the fear in his heart. He could not feel the pain on his forehead at all. You all listened to Lang Xinyue's slander, which is why you committed such a mistake. Is that right? Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes, and a sinister light flashed through them. The man hurriedly nodded. Yes, that's right. Yun Luofeng smiled. Unfortunately, in my opinion, you are just being controlled by your own desires. Even without Lang Xinyue, you would still have captured Jin Yang the moment you discovered his existence. Just to satisfy your desires. As Yun Luofeng walked closer, all of them felt a wave of pressure. They raised their heads in fear, and what entered their eyes was the woman's beautiful face. So, Yun Luofeng stopped and said coldly, Are you going to jump down yourself, or should I throw them down? She pointed to the cliff, her voice cold. Run. The prodigies gasped and looked at each other. They then turned around and fled down the mountain. However, before they could take more than a few steps, a large hand grabbed them by the lapels of their clothes and threw them down the cliff. Chapter 2026. The beast at the bottom of the cliff opened its bloody mouth and caught the food falling from the sky. However, the food did not satisfy its appetite, so it began to move again. In no time, Yuni had caught all the geniuses who were trying to escape. And these geniuses had become the beast's food. Thank you. Under the azure sky, Lian Yuesheng looked at the beautiful woman in front of her and thanked her sincerely. You don't have to thank me. I'm just returning your favor. Yun Luofeng slowly turned around and said. Lian Yuesheng was stunned. Returning my favor? When did Yun Luofeng ever owe her a favor? Hearing this, Yun Luofeng glanced at Lian Yuesheng and said in a casual tone, Previously in Nemesis Forest, you reminded me. Lian Yuesheng was stunned. Back then in Nemesis Forest, she had only done so out of admiration for Yun Luofeng. She wanted to have a battle with her in the future, so she had reminded her. More importantly, as a genius, she naturally cherished geniuses. She did not want such a genius to die in Nemesis Forest. But however, this reminder had saved her life. Lian Yuesheng's heart was filled with complicated feelings. The human heart was actually very simple. It was enough to exchange a heart for a heart. No matter what, I still want to thank you. If Yun Luofeng did not save her, perhaps she would have become the beast's food. She would always remember this kindness. Jinyang country. Chung Feiyang always felt guilty and a little uneasy, but he could not tell why. At this moment, a eunuch hurried over. Your Majesty, something bad has happened. People from the 3 countries are here. They say they want to settle the score with your Majesty. What? Cheng Feiyong stood up in shock. His expression was full of anxiety. Quick, go to the Freedom Alliance and ask for help. We are now in the same boat. The Freedom Alliance will not leave us in the lurch. You don't have to go to the Freedom Alliance. Suddenly, a cold voice was heard. Cheng Feiyong's body trembled. When he turned his head, he saw a group of people walking in. Those people were Chi Su from Drifting Wind Country, Qi Ling from Tian Chi Country, General Yi Lin from Purple Moon Country, and Jin Yang? Jin Yang, how did you? Cheng Feiyong's expression changed slightly, and his voice was filled with disbelief. Back then, you handed me over to Lang Xinyue for your own selfish reasons. However, you didn't expect that the Freedom Alliance's Alliance Master had already died long ago. Lang Xinyue's corpse is also nowhere to be found. Lian Yuexing's tone was filled with hatred and her eyes were filled with killing intent. She would never forget that it was this man who became her mother's accomplice. She would never forgive her for the rest of her life. You said Miss Lang is dead? Cheng Feiyong stumbled and almost fell to the ground. His face was filled with shock. Impossible. The Freedom Alliance is so powerful. How could they die? The Freedom Alliance is indeed powerful. Unfortunately, Lang Xinyue is a traitor of the Freedom Alliance, and the Alliance leader doesn't live up to his name, Lian Yuexing said coldly. The true person in charge of the Freedom Alliance should be the old Alliance leader's disciple, Yun Yueqing, who is also Yun Luofeng's mother. Lang Xinyue and Lord Olay were traitors? The true leader of the Alliance was Yun Yueqing. But when did Yun Yueqing become Yun Luofeng's mother? Chapter 2027. However, Lian Yuexing's next words caused Cheng Feiyong's heart to tremble. Endless fear filled his heart. Do you remember the man who appeared in Wind Cloud City that day? Yun Luofeng's husband? That man has already reached the level of a Sir God. Do you think the Freedom Alliance is a match for him? Yun Luofeng also has 2 Sir Gods under him. Boom. These words were like a bolt from the blue. Cheng Feiyong was dumbfounded. Only now did he realize how big of a mistake he had made. Golden Sun, come with them to Golden Sun Country. Don't call me Golden Sun. Lian Yuexing gritted her teeth. I am no longer the Golden Sun Princess. My name is Lian Yuexing. I have nothing to do with you anymore. From the moment she had decided to cut off her hair, it was clear that they were no longer father and daughter. She only had hatred for him. Everyone, although I was once the Princess of Golden Sun Country, I have sworn to leave. As for this guy, I don't care how you deal with him. Her expression was cold and her tone was resolute. This time, I am returning to Golden Sun Country to take away my mother's belongings. I will not plead on his behalf. As a traitor of the 4 countries, Cheng Feiyong's fate was obvious. Golden Sun. Cheng Feiyong clenched his fists. Even if father is in the wrong, he is still your biological father. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning for treating me like this? Lian Yuexing, who was about to leave, paused for a moment. With her back facing Cheng Feiyong, she said in her usual indifferent voice, I've already died once. If it weren't for Miss Yun, I'm afraid I would have become food for the beasts. Do you think there is anything to be afraid of for someone who has already died once? Lian Yuexing sneered. After she finished speaking, she did not turn back. Instead, she walked in the direction of the harem. This time, after she left, she would never return to this sad place. As for Golden Sun Country, she believed that Qi Ling would be able to handle it well. Meanwhile, Drifting Wind Country. Qi family. Qi Ling tugged at Bai Ling and Yun Luofeng's sleeves reluctantly. She looked pitiful. Aunt Yun, master, are you really leaving? Can you take Ling with you? Bai Ling and Yun Luofeng looked at each other and comforted the tearful little girl in front of them. Xiao Ling, Aunt Yun and your master will only be leaving for a short period of time. In the future, they will return to visit you. Furthermore, Aunt Yun has been away from my family for a very long time. It is time for me to return to visit them. Hearing Bai Ling's words, no matter how reluctant Qi Ling was, she still let go. Then, you have to come back to see me. All right. Yun Luofeng rubbed Qi Ling's head and turned to look at Bai Ling and Yun Xiao. Mother, Yun Xiao, let's go first. When we return this time, We will definitely give the old man 2 surprises. A few days ago, Ji Jiutian had sent a message saying that he had found a way to leave the windy continent and had asked them to hurry over to meet him. Now that she was finally able to leave the wind cloud continent and reunite with her family, Bai Ling was unwilling to stay for a few more days. She did not even wait for Chi Su to return before hurriedly pulling Yun Luofeng away. 2 surprises? Bai Ling was stunned. Isn't there only 1? Yun Luofeng grunted. I still have a surprise in my stomach. There was another surprise in his stomach? What did that mean? Chapter 2028. Bai Ling was stunned for a moment before she regained her senses. Meanwhile, Yun Xiao, who was at the side, had already rushed in front of Yun Luofeng and fiercely pulled the girl into his arms. Feng, you're saying that you're pregnant? His expression was very excited, a complete change from his usual cold and expressionless face. Indeed, any man who encountered such a thing would not be able to remain calm. Under their excited gazes, Yun Luofeng nodded. I felt a little uncomfortable yesterday, so I took my pulse and found that I'm pregnant. Looks like Zongji isn't so unreliable. Yun Xiao excitedly hugged Yun Luofeng, her voice somewhat incoherent. I'm going to be a father. Feng, I'm going to be a father. Yun Luofeng's lips curled. She and Yun Xiao had known each other for many years, but this was their first child. Honestly, she was as excited as Yun Xiao. Yun Xiao suddenly thought of something and her palm gently brushed across the woman's lower abdomen. Her tone suddenly became severe. You better be a little more obedient in your mother's womb. If you dare to cause any trouble or cause your mother to suffer even the slightest bit of pain, after you're born, I will not spare you. Looking at Yun Xiao's serious face, Bai Ling laughed. He won't understand what you're saying. No, he can understand. Yun Xiao answered very seriously. This answer stunned Bai Ling. Why? I don't know, I feel. He felt that this child would understand what he was saying. Protect your mother well. Don't let her suffer any harm. Yun Xiao lowered his head and warned, This is the task I'm giving you. Yun Luofeng's gaze was fixed on Yun Xiao, her heart feeling warm. Even Yun Xiao's serious expression made her feel incomparably handsome. It's getting late, let's go. Yun Luofeng looked at Qi Ling, who looked aggrieved, and said, When Chi Su comes back, remember to tell him that I'm taking my mother home to visit my family. If he wants to find me in the future, he can go to the 7 continents to find me. I'll also tell you the location of the Cloudy Cloud continent. Don't forget to tell Chi Su. Then, Yun Luofeng gave a few more instructions, and when Qi Ling was done, she left with Chi Su. At that moment, Yun Luofeng still didn't know that a huge storm was waiting for her on the 7 continents. Once she returned and found out everything, her rage would be enough to set the entire mainland ablaze. The 7 continents. East Continent Continent Lord Residence. Inside the conference room, everyone was arguing incessantly. The voices of the elders were very loud, spittle flying everywhere. Hong Wan sat in the middle of the group and listened to their angry shouts. Finally, she could not take it anymore. With a bang, she slammed her palm on the table. Letting the people from the Yun family stay was my decision. If there are any consequences, I will bear it alone. You don't have to worry. Young miss, it doesn't matter that you are on good terms with Yun Luofeng. We won't stop you. However, Yun Luofeng killed a member of the Spirit God Continent's Qin family. Now that the Qin family has come knocking on our door, how can we protect her family? Furthermore, the Qin family has also said that as long as we hand over the Yun family, they won't make things difficult for the rest of the mainland. Hong Wan clenched her fists tightly. Not long after Yun Luofeng left, the Qin family of Spirit God Continent suddenly appeared. Chapter 2029. Both the Holy Maiden tribe and the Jun family were seriously injured by the Qin family. Grandpa Jun's life was in danger. That was why she made the decision to bring the Yun family to the East Continent Prefecture. Because the East Continent Prefecture was the only place that could protect the Yun family. Actually, I've been preparing for this. Hong Luan stood up slowly. I've left a way out. Father, I beg you, when the Qin family attacks, take the Yun family with you and leave. Luan, what are you trying to do? Hong Ling's face darkened. I won't let you take the risk. I've never begged you for anything. Besides, the Yun family's pride will not allow me to sacrifice myself for them. When the time comes, I'll have to trouble you to come up with a lie. Don't let them appear. Luan, Grandpa Jun is recuperating at the Holy Maiden tribe. Those who are on good terms with Yun Luofeng are also seriously injured. So, we are the only ones who can protect the Yun family now. If Yun Luofeng had not left behind many elixirs, Grandpa Jun and the others would have died from their injuries. Hong Ling looked at Hong Wan's determined face. Luan, let me stay. When the time comes, you can take them away.
Father, are you as strong as me now?
Hong Wan looked back at Hong Ling on this continent. I'm the only one who broke through to become a deity. Hong Ling's heart trembled. Her daughter was growing too fast. Even he couldn't compare to her. So, I'm the only one who can stop them for now. She swore to keep her promise to Yun Luofeng even if she had to die. There must be another way. There are still 3 days until the deadline given by the Qin family. Within these 3 days, we will definitely find a way.
Luan,
Hong Ling walked towards Hong Luan anxiously.
I won't let you face danger.
He only had one daughter. How could he bear to let her suffer any harm? If something happened to his daughter, how could he continue living? Hong Wan shook her head. Her domineering phoenix eyes became even more determined. 3 days. Time passed in a flash. In the blink of an eye, it was the deadline given by the Qin family. For the past 3 days, the people of the East Continent Prefecture had not slept a wink. They were quietly waiting for today's appearance. No matter how big the 7 continents were, it would still be easy for the Qin clan to find someone. Therefore, no matter where the Yun family hid, it would not be able to escape the eyes of the Qin family. The only thing they could do was to delay for a day. As long as they could delay until Yun Luofeng and Yun Shao returned, all the dangers would be resolved. He's here. Hong Wan's eyebrows twitched as she slowly stood up from her seat. She was dressed in red, looking as enchanting as fire, but she was also filled with courage and determination. Father, take the Yun family and leave immediately. I'll hold them off.
Luan,
Hong Ling rushed forward and grabbed Hong Wan's hand.
You can't go.
Hong Wan's body stiffened. She pushed Hong Ling's hand away and lowered her eyes slightly. Please. With that, she walked out of the door with firm steps.
Manor Lord.
All the elders looked unhappy. If it wasn't for the Yun family, such a thing wouldn't have happened.
Go.
Hong Ling looked sorrowfully at Hong Wan's departing figure. I can't let my daughter go back on her words. Protect the Yun family and leave immediately. Chapter 2030. After saying this, Hong Ling hurriedly walked in the direction of the Yun family. In the courtyard, Old Master Yun was bored to death. Yun Qingya and Ning Xian were by his side. Little Ruoshui was sitting obediently on the ground, her big innocent eyes looking very innocent. The group of young geniuses that Yun Luofeng had subdued for Ruoshui were also sitting cross-legged on the ground to cultivate. Jun Fengling and Yi Jingchen were not here. After Yun Luofeng left, the two of them also left the 7 continents and went to some unknown place to train. Yi Xie and Yi Jun, the twins, followed Old Master Yi back to the Wuhui continent. Yi Shima and Yi Qi also went out to cultivate, so these people were not here. At this moment, Old Master Yun saw Hong Ling and the others walking over quickly. His eyes lit up and he said in a complaining tone, "You're finally here." Hearing his complaining voice, the group of people from the East Continent Prefecture did not look too good. It was Hong Ling who said in a calm voice, "Old Master Yun, come with me. We are leaving this place now." "Leave?" Everyone was stunned. Yun Qingya frowned. "Manor Lord, can you tell us what happened? Why don't you let us go to the Jun family and leave this place?" In reality, the people of the Yun family still didn't know what had happened. After they sent the Yi family's old man back, they planned to come to the 7 continents. Who knew that when they arrived at the Jun family, they would find a mess. Before they could ask what had happened, Hong Wan hurriedly took them away. After all, the Qin family only knew that the person who killed Qin Luo was Yun Luofeng, and that Yun Luofeng was a member of the Yun family. As for the matter of the Long Shao continent and the Wuhui continent, they did not investigate much. The only thing they knew was that the Jun family was also related to Yun Luofeng. However, Yun Luofeng's surname was Yun. Therefore, the people they were looking for were the Yun family members. However, they did not intend to let others go easily, so they seriously injured Old Master Jun and those who were on good terms with Yun Luofeng. Originally, they thought that these people would definitely not survive. Who knew that Yun Luofeng would give them so many elixirs before he left, saving their lives? Old Master Yun, don't ask any more. Hurry up and leave this place with us, Hong Ling said anxiously with a slight frown. Old Master Yun also sensed that something was wrong. His face no longer showed the grumbling he had earlier. Manor Lord, even if something happened, you should at least tell us the specifics. Right now we know nothing. How can we leave with you? By the way, where is Miss Hong Luan? Ning Xian seemed to have noticed something and asked, why did you ask us to follow you, but Miss Hong Luan isn't here? Manor Lord, what exactly happened? Once he heard Hong Luan's name, Hong Ling's grief finally flowed out uncontrollably. His heart was filled with deep pain. My daughter has already gone to stop the enemies for you. Now you must follow me. I can't let my daughter's sacrifice be in vain. So what if Hong Luan became a divine spirit? That group of people was an even stronger enemy. If Hong Luan were to block that group of people alone, how could she have any hope of surviving? Yun Qingya's expression suddenly turned cold. You said that Miss Hong Luan is going to stop a group of enemies? Are those enemies coming for our Yun family? Was the Jun family's misfortune also because of our Yun family? Chapter 2031. Hong Ling was momentarily at a loss for words. He knew that if he didn't tell the truth today, these people wouldn't follow him. Therefore, Hong Ling didn't hide it anymore and told him everything. After hearing the truth of the matter, Yun Qingya's expression became even colder. Why didn't you say these things earlier? Since the enemy is targeting our Yun family should just stand up. Why should we sacrifice innocent people like you? Big brother Yun. Ning Xian stretched out her hand and held Yun Qingya's trembling hand tightly. She then raised her head to look at Hong Ling and the others. Can I trouble you to take care of Shuai and these children? Hong Ling opened his mouth. He knew the intentions of the Yun family and wanted to say something, but in the end, he helplessly shut his mouth. All right. Mother. Yun Ruoshui quickly stood up and grabbed Ning Xian's arm tightly. Shuai wants to go too. No, Shuai, you guys stay here and let your parents and your grandfather face these things. Ning Xian's expression was very gentle. Also remember, if your parents don't come back, immediately think of a way to find your cousin. Only by her side will you be the safest. After Ning Xian finished speaking, she raised her head to look at Yun Qingya. A hint of determination appeared on her beautiful and dignified face. Brother Yun, let's go. From the moment she married Yun Qingya, she had been a member of the Yun family. No matter how many difficulties and dangers there were, she would definitely advance and retreat with her husband. No, mother. Yun Ruoshui burst into tears. She raised her hand to pull Ning Xian, but was held back by the group of people behind her. Her face was covered in tears as she stretched out her arms, wanting to grab onto her loved ones who were about to leave. But in the end, she could only watch as they left. In the mansion of the Eastern Continent's Continent Lord, the entire sky was shrouded in dark clouds. Under the dark clouds, a man holding a halberd stood in the air like a god of war, unmoving like a mountain. His expression was cold and expressionless. Where are the people from the Yun family? Hand them over to me, and maybe I can still let you live. Hong Luan sneered and blocked the entrance of the Continent Lord's mansion alone. Her bright red clothes were as red as flames. If you want to enter, you'll have to step over my dead body. Her voice was very domineering, and there was an unshakable determination flowing between her brows. Humph. The man looked coldly at Hong Luan. Since you want to protect the Yun family, then your fate will be no different from that of the Jun family and the Holy Maiden tribe. Hong Luan remained unmoved. There was only one belief in her heart, and that was to not let down her friend's trust. Even if he had to use his life as the price, he would not hesitate. The only friend that I, Hong Luan, have met in this life that I would be willing to give my life to is Yun Luofeng. Her figure was faintly discernible, and her bright red dress seemed to light up the entire sky. Before she left, she told me to protect her family. Then I will not go back on my word. When the man heard Hong Luan's voice, he looked at her in admiration. However, this admiration was fleeting, and he quickly returned to his initial indifference. So what if Hong Luan was outstanding? The person Yun Luofeng killed was someone from the Qin family. Even if that person was a traitor who had been expelled from the Qin family, no one was allowed to kill her. Chapter 2032. Otherwise, wouldn't the Qin family lose all face? Since you insist on doing this, don't blame me for being impolite.
Men attack. Kill this woman.
The man waved his hand coldly and gave the order indifferently. His gaze was condescending as he looked at Hong Yuan as if he was looking at a dead person. Yes, in his eyes, Hong Yuan was no different from a dead person.
Stop.
At this moment, a shout suddenly came from the direction of the backyard. Hong Yuan was stunned. She turned around and saw the members of the Yun family hurrying over. A hint of anxiety flashed across her eyes as she asked, "Why are you all here?" Old man Yun had his hands behind his back and a serious expression on his face. He quickly walked to Hong Yuan's side. Yun Qingya and Ning Xian walked behind old man Yun. Neither of them said anything, and their expressions were equally serious.
Who are you?
The man stared coldly at old man Yun and asked expressionlessly, "What, didn't you come here to find our Yun family? Now that the people of our Yun family have come out, you still want to ask who we are?" Old man Yun's face was filled with ridicule, and there was even a hint of ridicule at the corner of his mouth. The man raised his eyes and said arrogantly, "So you are from the Yun family. If that's the case, I'll have to trouble you to come with me." "You want to capture us and use them to threaten my granddaughter?" Old man Yun said coldly. Back then, the Northern Continent's Continent Lord Mansion and the Holy Maiden tribe had joined forces to do this kind of thing. Who would have thought that even the people of the Spirit God continent would use this method to threaten Yun Luofeng? "Unless you want everyone to die with you, then come with me immediately." The man was too lazy to waste any more words and went straight to the point. Old man Yun was so angry that his expression changed. His old eyes were filled with anger. "Father." Yun Qingya raised her hand and stopped old man Yun. She raised her head to look at the man and asked, "If we go with you, will you really let the others go?" "That's right." The man looked down at Yun Qingya with disdain in his eyes. "All right, I'll take responsibility for what I've done. The one who committed the crime is my Yun family. It has nothing to do with anyone else. I'll go with you. As for my old man, he's old and can't handle it. My wife is just a woman. She doesn't need to get involved in this kind of thing." Yun Qingya gently pushed Ning Xian's hand away and slowly walked towards the Qin family.
Brother Yun.
Ning Xian's heart clenched and she hurriedly chased after him. "We're husband and wife. I can't just watch you walk into danger alone. Even if I die, I want to die with you." How could she not understand Yun Qingya's personality? He absolutely could not be a burden to Yun Luofeng. Therefore, he had already made up his mind to die. Yun Qingya stopped in his tracks. In the end, he didn't say anything. With his hands behind his back, he quickly walked to the front of the Qin family. The man sneered and reached out to grab Yun Qingya. With a boom, a powerful force suddenly attacked from the front, causing him to hurriedly retract his hand and take a few steps back with his right leg. The woman was dressed in red and looked like the sun in the sky. She was breathtakingly beautiful. "I don't care what you want. I only know that I promised Yun Luofeng. I can't go back on my words. Since I've promised her something, I'll definitely do it." Chapter 2033. Hong Yuan glanced at Yun Qingya and Ning Xian, then turned her gaze towards the group of people in front of her. "I'm not dead yet. Who can take the Yun family away from my Eastern Continent prefecture?" Her voice was extremely domineering, powerful and resonant, and it suddenly shook everyone's hearts. Even the people of the Qin family admired Hong Yuan. Of course, admiration was admiration. They did not forget the purpose of coming here this time. Hong Yuan. Hong Ling saw Hong Yuan take the lead to attack from afar. He was so scared that his heart almost jumped out of his chest. However, any one of those experts was far from what he could deal with. In the sky, the dark clouds once again covered the bright sun. Hong Yuan's figure was very agile as she passed through the crowd. Other than the man leading the group, the rest of the Qin family experts were all experts of the divine spirit realm. Even though Hong Yuan had already broken through to the divine spirit realm, she was still far from being a match for this group of people. Boom! An expert's attack landed on Hong Yuan's body. A trace of blood flowed out of Hong Yuan's mouth. She wiped away the blood and once again bravely attacked the group of experts. Her red clothes had already become tattered, and the wounds on her body were very conspicuous. Her arms were covered in blood, but she still stood firm in the sky, using her body to block the attacks of these experts. "Enough! Ning Exine covered her mouth. Lady Hongwan, it's really enough.
You can't beat them, stop. Enough? How could this be?
She had promised Yun Luofeng that she would protect this group of people with her life. Hongwan tightly gripped the long sword in her hand, like a god of war, her entire body filled with killing intent. Her body was already riddled with wounds from the attacks of this group of people, but no matter how badly injured she was, she had never thought of taking a step back. You overestimate yourself. The man sensed that Hongwan's strength was not up to par. He sneered and swooped up. A powerful force wrapped around his fist and landed on Hongwan's chest with a loud bang. Poochie! Blood continuously flowed out of Hongwan's mouth. Her hand firmly grabbed onto the man's arm. A look of surprise flashed across the man's eyes. He had become a heavenly god a long time ago, but now, he was imprisoned by a god?
I, Hongwan.
The corner of the woman's mouth was stained with blood as she revealed a gorgeous smile. Today, even if I die here, I'll drag all of you down to hell. The sword in Hongwan's hand was stained with her blood and emitted a stunning red light. Then, under the astonished gazes of the others, the long sword suddenly slashed down, slashing towards the man. The man wanted to break free from Hongwan's hand, but he found that he couldn't move at all. He flew into a rage and released his aura, attacking Hongwan's body. Hongwan's body was like a shredded piece of cloth as she fell heavily onto the ground. Blood flowed uncontrollably from her wound, causing her face to turn extremely pale. At the same time, the sword slashed down. If not for the fact that the man was a heavenly god, his entire arm would have been chopped off. But even so, his shoulder was injured. Blood gushed out and dyed his clothes red.
Luaner!
Hong Ling screamed at the top of her lungs. She quickly rushed to Hongwan's side as tears streamed down her face. Luan, let's not fight anymore. Daddy doesn't want to lose you. Old Master Yun and the others also quickly rushed to Hongwan's side. They took out a stock of spiritual medicine and fed it to Hongwan. Chapter 2034. Hongwan's bleeding had stopped, but her internal organs were still hurting unbearably.
Go away, all of you.
Even though she was heavily injured, Hongwan still crawled up from the ground. She immediately pushed Hongling away. Now, immediately, leave.
Leave.
That was impossible. If she allowed the Qin family members to leave with Old Master Yun and the rest, how could she face Yun Luofeng in the future?
Luaner.
Hongling wanted to stop her but saw her daughter appear in front of the Qin family members once again. The man looked at Hongwan in surprise. You're still alive after receiving such a heavy blow from me? Hongwan did not say anything. She gently closed her eyes. A strong gust of wind blew. At this moment, her aura rose and her hair danced wildly in the wind. Even Old Master Yun and the rest realized that something was wrong with Hongwan's aura, let alone the Qin family members who were standing very close to her. Miss Hongluan, please stop. Ning Xian's face was pale as she hurriedly cried out in shock.
Luaner.
Hongling staggered a little. She tried to get close to Hongwan a few times, but she was swept away by the storm that was being emitted from Hongwan's body. She could only watch helplessly as the woman in red's power rose rapidly under the storm.
You?
The man was shocked. He looked at the woman in front of him and asked through gritted teeth, "What kind of secret skill did you use to increase your power?" Hongwan raised her almond-shaped eyes. Once the storm around her slowly disappeared, she slowly walked towards the Qin family members. During this period of time, I came across an opportunity along the way which allowed me to break through to the divine soul level. I also obtained this secret skill at that time. However, the price of using this secret skill was very, very high. However, she did not regret it. A cold light flashed across the man's eyes as he watched Hongwan approach him. He continued to shout, "Go, kill this woman!" The Qin family members regained their senses and charged towards Hongwan in an instant. Boom! Hongwan's body was instantly surrounded by a storm. Those who tried to approach her were all thrown out by the storm. Their bodies fell to the ground pathetically and blood flowed continuously from their mouths. I've said it before. As long as I, Hongwan, am not dead, don't even think about touching a single hair of the Yun family.
And I will keep my word.
Hongwan slowly stretched out her hand. The man was stunned. He did not understand what she was trying to do. Just as he was puzzled, a flame shot out from the woman's palm. The flame burned even more violently in the wind. In an instant, it was already in front of him. Boom! The intense flames engulfed the man's body, and the man's heart-wrenching screams could be heard from the flames.
Hong Wan's body trembled.
In the end, she was unable to withstand it and collapsed. The moment she fell, all the strength in her body disappeared. Her whole body was like a broken piece of glass, looking very fragile.
Luan.
Hong Ling quickly walked in front of Hong Luan, held her hand tightly and said, "You,
Why do you have to do this?"
Hong Luan smiled. "At least I kept my promise, didn't I?" At that moment, perhaps sensing Hong Luan's weak breathing, Old Master Yun quickly took out the spiritual medicine from his interspatial ring. His elderly face was filled with anxiety. "These are the spiritual medicine that my granddaughter gave me. Hurry up and feed it to Miss Hong Luan."
Chapter 2035.
Master Yun had always been stingy, but now, as long as he could save Hong Luan's life, he would not even frown if he had to take out his secret stash of many years.
No need.
Hong Luan shook her head weakly. "No matter how much spiritual medicine you have, I won't be able to cure me."
Why waste it?
Hong Ling clutched Hong Luan's hand tightly. Her face was covered in tears. Yun Qingya and Ning Exine stood to one side with sorrowful looks on their faces. In the end, they had not been able to help at all. Instead, they had dragged Hong Luan down.
Ha ha ha.
Suddenly, a maniacal laugh rang out from within the flames. Not even half a second later, the flames which had been burning fiercely dissipated in the wind.
Hong Wan's eyes narrowed. He's not dead?
Do you think that you can kill me with that little bit of power? The man's gloomy voice was filled with complacency. Now, because you forcefully used that secret technique, you don't have long to live.
Let's see who else can stop me now.
Hong Wan coughed violently. Her beautiful face was now very pale. Quick, run.
Get out of here. Leave.
The man's lips curled into a smile. Do you think that they can leave? There's nothing that the Qin family can't do if they want to do something. Of course, the first person I want to kill is you. His clothes had long been burned clean by the flames, and he was naked in front of everyone's eyes.
Boom.
Before anyone could realize what was happening, the man had already arrived in front of Hong Luan. His palm stirred up a gust of wind and he was about to land a heavy blow on Hong Luan's chest. Under the man's coercion, no one else could even move, let alone block this attack for Hong Luan. However, suddenly, a gentle breeze flashed past and the man's figure descended from the sky. He reached out with both arms and pulled Hong Luan into his embrace, using his back to receive the attack.
Tui.
Fresh blood poured from the man's mouth and rained down on Hong Luan's pale face. Hong Luan's eyes widened as she stared dazedly at the man who had pulled her into his arms. Nangong.
Uni? Why?
Why is he here? Hong Luan, I'm sorry, I'm late. The corners of Nangong Yuni's mouth curled up into a weak smile, his voice carrying a hint of reluctance. Hong Luan's heart jerked while her eyes felt slightly sour, and she actually had the impulse to cry. I've already used a secret technique, and I don't have long to live. Why did you block this attack for me? I don't want to see you get hurt. That was all. Unfortunately, he came back too late. Nangong Uni, it's great that your strength has increased. Hong Luan smiled. Back then, in order to make himself worthy of her, Nangong Uni didn't hesitate to go out to train. Who would have thought that his gains from this training this time were not small? He actually also reached the divine soul level. Of course, if they didn't encounter a fortuitous encounter like Hong Luan and Nangong Uni, even if they cultivated for 1,000 years, they might not be able to break through. I've worked hard just to be able to stand by your side. Without you, what's the use of my life strength? Nangong Uni stared at Hong Luan, whose face was turning paler and paler, and found it difficult to conceal the pain in his heart. So you must hold on. Wait for Yun Luofeng to return, she'll have a way to save you. Nangong Uni and Yun Luofeng had known each other for 2 lifetimes. In his heart, that woman in white was an omnipotent existence. There was nothing she could not do. Chapter 2036. Unfortunately, Hong Luan smiled bitterly. I'm sorry, I can't hold on any longer. I thought that I could defeat these people with this secret skill, but I've underestimated them. Since you're back, I'll hand over the responsibility of protecting the Yun family to you. Hong Luan's lips were still curled into a smile, but her breathing gradually weakened until her weak breathing disappeared in Nangong Yuni's arms. No. Nangong Uni hugged Hong Wan's body tightly and let out a heart-wrenching roar. Hong Ling and the others were also stunned as they stared blankly at Hong Wan, who was in Nangong Uni's arms. "Prefecture Lord!" Someone let out a cry of surprise. When everyone turned their heads to look, they found that Hong Ling had fainted. Immediately, 2 elders went up to support her. "Big Brother Yun." Ning Xian's eyes were filled with grief. "We've dragged Miss Hong Wan down. This is all our fault. If they were strong enough, would today's events not have happened? If they had not followed Hong Wan to the East Continent, would Hong Wan not have been sacrificed? Therefore, all of this was their fault. It was because of them that Hong Wan had been harmed." Nangong Uni hugged Hong Wan's body tightly and stood up from the ground. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared murderously at the gloomy man in front of him. "You've caused Hong Wan's death. Those who hurt her deserve to die." Nangong Uni's body trembled as he spoke. At that moment, he only had one thought in his mind: kill these people and avenge Hong Wan. The man laughed icily. "You and that little girl are only deities. Do you think that you can threaten me with your powers?" Nangong Uni did not speak. He slowly put Hong Wan down and lowered his gaze. His eyes were filled with gentleness. Wait for me to kill these people. Then, I'll travel to the ends of the earth with you and never abandon you." The 2 of them did not get to know each other well. Furthermore, because he had peeped on Hong Wan while she was bathing, he had been hunted down by her. However, in the process of this chase and escape, he had already fallen into the trap. When Nangong Uni put down the Hong Wan, he raised his palm and a swift and fierce long sword appeared in his hand. Like the wind, he had already rushed in front of the man. The man quickly took out his weapon, and a powerful force spread out from the 2 of them, causing the entire world to seem gloomy. Of these 2 people, one was a heavenly god, and the other was just a god. But, previously, Hong Wan's flames had already caused the man to suffer internal injuries. So now that he was facing the aggressive Nangong Uni, he actually found it a little hard to resist. Of course, if that wasn't the case, Nangong Uni wouldn't have been able to defeat this man. As for the other heaven gods of the Qin clan, before this, it had been burned to ashes by the flames of the Hong Wan. Hong Ling slowly regained consciousness amidst the cries of the elders. When he looked at Hong Wan, who had collapsed to the ground, his eyes were filled with grief and despair. In this life, he only had one daughter, and he had given her all his love and care. Now, he had to send off his daughter. How could she stand it? Master Yun walked towards Hong Ling and bowed deeply. His elderly features were filled with remorse. "Lord Hong Ling, everything that had happened was because of the Yun family. Hong Wan had sacrificed herself for the Yun family. It's the Yun family that has let you down." Chapter 2037. Hong Ling closed his eyes. His face was filled with agony. After a long while, he opened his eyes and looked at Hong Wan, who was on the ground with a sorrowful gaze. He slowly walked to Hong Wan's side and crouched down. His fingers gently stroked the woman's pale face. "This isn't your fault. If you want to blame someone, blame the Qin family for being utterly heartless." Despite his grief, Hong Ling's mind was still very clear. He knew that all of this was not the fault of the Yun family. "Luaner, don't be afraid. Father won't let you be too lonely." Hong Ling picked up Hong Wan's body from the ground and walked slowly towards the East Continent Prefecture with great difficulty. His footsteps were very steady, but his body looked as if it could collapse at any time. "Prefecture Lord." The East Continent Prefecture's elders' expressions changed greatly, afraid that Hong Ling would take things too hard. Hearing the voice from behind him, Hong Ling paused in his steps. He lowered his eyes and looked at the woman who was lying quietly in his arms. He suppressed the grief in his heart and said, "I only want to quietly accompany her for a while longer. I won't take things too hard. Don't worry." After saying this, Hong Ling raised his steps and gradually disappeared from the world's sight. At this moment, in the sky, Nangong Uni had turned all his grief into strength and was fighting the enemy before him without any regard for his own life. Under Nangong Uni's reckless fighting style, the man finally couldn't hold on any longer. With a bang, Nangong Uni's fist landed on his chest. He was immediately knocked down from the air and ruthlessly fell to the ground. The entire ground had been smashed into a large crater by the force of the blow. However, Nangong Uni did not stop. With another wave of his fist, a powerful force came crashing down towards the man in the large crater. Blood flowed continuously from the man's mouth. His skin and flesh had been split open. He lay in the large crater and his body was so heavy that he could not even lift it. All he could do was stare gloomily at Nangong Uni in the sky. I'm from the Qin family. Unfortunately, before he could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Nangong Uni's attack. Even Nangong Uni did not know how many times he had hit him. His mind was filled with the scene of Hong Wan collapsing. When Nangong Uni was almost exhausted, the man in the pit also stopped breathing. Then, Nangong Uni, who was in the void, staggered and almost fell from the sky. But in the end, he still supported his battered and exhausted body. Hong Wan. Nangong Uni didn't spare another glance at the corpses that littered the ground. He staggered towards the direction of the Eastern Continent Prefecture's backyard. When he saw Hong Wan laid flat on the bed by Hong Ling, he burst into tears and punched the ground fiercely. If I had come earlier, Hong Wan wouldn't have left. At this moment, Nangong Uni placed all the blame on himself. He believed that it was his late arrival that caused Hong Wan to lose her life. He slowly stood up from the ground, clenched his fists tightly, turned around and walked out of the house. Where are you going? Hong Ling, who was immersed in grief, saw Nangong Uni's actions and asked. Nangong Uni's footsteps paused. Avenge her. Even if you killed that heavenly god today, with your strength, you are still not a match for the Qin family. If you go, you will only be courting death. His daughter was already dead. He was not willing to sacrifice anyone else. Nangong Uni's previous gentle and carefree expression was replaced by a pair of eyes filled with hatred and killing intent. My strength is not enough, so I will use my life to fight. I will not let Hong Wan die in vain. Anyone who is involved in this matter, I will make them pay the price. Chapter 2038. As he finished speaking, Nangong Uni walked out of the room. His confident and unrestrained figure disappeared from the courtyard. Hong Wan, wait for me. After I avenge you, I will accompany you to the ends of the earth, to heaven and hell. Unwavering in this lifetime. Hong Ling opened her mouth, but in the end, she could not keep Nangong Uni. She turned her head again, her gaze falling on Hong Wan's serene and beautiful face. She gently held her ice-cold hand. Luaner, Nangong Uni is a good boy, but in the end, you two are not fated to be together. I don't know if you will be able to find your mother in hell. If you are fated, you two will eventually meet. But you were able to meet, yet you left me alone in this world. How can you bear to do that? However, Father will not blame you. You kept your promise. Father is proud of you. Hong Wan could no longer hear Hong Ling's words. Her expression was serene and she did not seem to be in any pain. She lay quietly on the bed as if she was asleep. It was impossible to tell that the woman on the bed had already lost her life. In East Continent City, Yun Luofeng stopped in her tracks. Perhaps she felt that the atmosphere was a little strange. She frowned slightly. Yun Xiao, do you feel that something is wrong? Yun Xiao, who was standing to the side, was still expressionless. Her expression was cold. Her long black robe fluttered in the breeze, attracting the attention of many young women. I'm not sure. Ever since she entered East Continent City, she realized that it was not as lively as before. It was too quiet. For some reason, Yun Luofeng felt a little uneasy. She raised her head to look at the gates of East Continent City and said, Yun Xiao, mother, let's go to East Continent City to take a look. After leaving the Wind and Cloud Continent, the place she arrived at was outside of East Continent City. So if she wanted to know what had happened on the continent, the fastest way was to find Hong Wan. Thinking of this, Yun Luofeng quickened her pace and quickly walked towards East Continent City. Inside East Continent City, white silk hung everywhere. The faces of the people who went in and out were covered with a layer of sorrow. Yun Luofeng's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that someone in East Continent City had passed away? Second uncle. Suddenly, Yun Luofeng saw a familiar figure and hurriedly called out. Hearing her voice, Yun Qingya's body stiffened. She turned her head in disbelief. In that instant, the woman's beautiful face was imprinted in his cold eyes. Feng, you're back? Yun Qingya's lips trembled slightly. However, when he thought of Hong Wan's death, his face was covered in guilt and grief. However, in the next second, his expression froze. Sister-in-law? He stared fixedly at Bai Ling, who was standing next to Yun Luofeng. His cool and handsome face was filled with shock. Feng, who is this lady? Why does she look so similar to sister-in-law? Second brother. Bai Ling caught a glimpse of Yun Qingya's expression and slightly raised her lips. What, I'm back. Don't you welcome me? The woman's voice was very familiar. It was so familiar that it caused Yun Qingya's body to tremble. Tears gradually appeared in her clear and cold eyes. Are you really my sister-in-law? You're not dead? Sister-in-law was still alive. She was actually alive. Yun Qingya didn't know what he was feeling right now. If it wasn't for Hong Wan's death, he would probably be so excited that he wouldn't be able to extricate himself. Unfortunately, Hong Wan's death made him extremely sad, so he couldn't express that kind of emotion. Chapter 2039. Second Uncle. This is a long story. Oh right, what happened in the East Continent Prefecture? Did someone die? Yun Qingya lowered her head slightly. It's Hong Wan, she. Dead. Boom. Yun Qingya's words were like a bolt of lightning that struck Yun Luofeng. He was stunned on the spot. Second Uncle, this kind of joke isn't funny. Can you not tease me like this? Feng, what I said is true. Hong Wan is dead. In order to protect our Yun family, she died at the hands of the Qin family of Spirit God Continent. Yun Luofeng wanted to take 2 steps forward, but for some reason, her legs were trembling a little. Before she could even take a step, she almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, Yun Xiao, who was beside her, supported her in time. Feng. Yun Xiao hugged Yun Luofeng with a worried expression. Yun Luofeng clenched his fists tightly. I don't believe it. Yun Xiao, carry me to the morning hall. I don't believe that Hong Wan is dead. This was because the current her didn't even have the strength to lift her feet. She couldn't walk to the morning hall by herself. All right. Yun Xiao carried Yun Luofeng by the waist and walked towards the morning hall. Bai Ling's expression was also a little ugly. She said in a deep voice, Second brother, tell me exactly what happened. Looking at her daughter's reaction, that girl called Hong Wan must have a very good relationship with her. She couldn't take this blow. Since that was the case, then the Qin family of Spirit God Continent, there was no need for it to exist. Sister-in-law, let's go first. I'll tell you in detail what happened later. Everyone in the Eastern Continent Prefecture was immersed in grief. They didn't even notice Yun Luofeng coming in. It was old man Yun who was the first to see his granddaughter. Just as he was about to go up and say a few words, he suddenly saw Bai Ling who had followed him in. After that, Yun Qingya told the old man that this woman was Bai Ling. If it was in the past, the old man would definitely be so excited that he couldn't extricate himself. But now, even if he saw Bai Ling, he couldn't be excited. His old face was filled with sorrow. Hong Wan's death had a great impact on them. Whether it was the people of the Yun family or the people of the Eastern Continent Prefecture, none of them could walk out of this kind of grief. Yun Luofeng walked down from Yun Zhao's embrace. She reached out with a trembling hand and lifted the paper covering her face. In an instant, a deathly pale face appeared in her line of sight. The woman's face was very serene as she lay quietly on the bed. Her eyes were very vivid, but they were so familiar that it made Yun Luofeng's heart twitch. She clutched her chest tightly with her hands and closed her eyes, as if trying to relieve the pain. However, not only did the pain not lessen, it instead intensified. Tears flowed down like a swarming river and covered her entire face. Hong Wan. Yun Luofeng opened her eyes. Her fingers were trembling slightly. There were several times when she wanted to hold Hong Wan's hand, but she was unable to completely raise it. I'm sorry I've returned late. I'm sorry that I wasn't by your side when you needed me the most. I even made you lose your life for the Yun family. Hong Wan, do you still remember the first time we met? At that time, you insisted on fighting me, but in the end, we ended up in a draw. Perhaps from that moment onwards, because of the feeling of sympathy, our friendship in the future was formed. As if recalling that domineering woman in red clothes, Yun Luofeng's expression softened. Chapter 2040. Now that you've been killed by the Qin family, I will flatten the entire spirit god mainland. I will use the blood of those people to nourish your soul. At this moment, the woman's white robes fluttered despite the lack of wind. Her entire body was filled with a murderous aura that made those around her feel like hell from the bottom of their hearts. Bai Ling had returned to Yun Luofeng's side for some time now. However, the Yun Luofeng in her heart was always calm and collected no matter what happened. She had never seen her fly into a rage. Now, she finally understood how frightening her daughter could be when she was angry. It was as if everything around her had turned into a murderous hell. She was stepping on a ground littered with corpses and blood. Also, I'm taking Hong Wan's body with me. Yun Luofeng did not discuss this with them. He had made this decision forcefully and did not give anyone a chance to object. However, not only was Hong Ling not angry after hearing this, her eyes lit up. She did not ask for Yun Luofeng's reason and gently nodded. All right, you can take her with you. Why did Yun Luofeng want to take Hong Wan's body? Was there a way to revive her? She did not say it out loud, which meant that the chances of revival were not high. However, even if there was only a small chance, he would not give it up. Yun Luofeng did not waste any time and waved his hand. In an instant, the body that had been lying on the bed disappeared without a trace. Faced with this situation, she no longer hid her abilities. Clearly, this move of hers had completely frightened everyone present. Master, Mother, Second Uncle, let's go first. I have other matters to attend to. All right. Old Master Yun glanced at Yun Luofeng and sighed softly. Hong Wan's death had been a huge blow to his granddaughter. However, even so, she could not allow herself to fall. She must prepare everything to avenge Hong Wan. Yun Luofeng instructed again. Make a trip to the Windy Continent. Send word to Chi Su and Chi Ling. Ask them to bring all the top experts of the Windy Continent here. Feng, what are you planning to do? Master Yun could not hold back his curiosity and asked. Yun Luofeng's face lit up with a cold smile. Of course. I'm going to war with the Qin family. Wanting to attack the Yun family and even causing Hong Wan's death, they could only use their lives to accompany Hong Wan in death. If she did not destroy the entire Qin clan, how could she face Hong Wan? Azure Wing replied indifferently. Yes, Master. If they wanted to travel from West Spirit Academy to the Wind Cloud Continent, it would require the combined efforts of many elites. Unfortunately, the elders of West Spirit Academy had already opened the space once, and it was obvious that they did not have enough power to open it again. Fortunately, there was another way to reach the Wind Cloud Continent. Furthermore, she had specially arranged for someone to receive her when she left the Wind Cloud Continent. If the two sides worked together, they could use the simplest method to open the space gate. Feng, I don't think you can go to the Jun family now. Master Yun sighed. I heard from the Lord that old man Jun has suffered serious injuries and is recuperating at the Sacred Lady clan. The Dragon and Phoenix clans have already left to search for you and are no longer with the two clans. The elites of the Witch Demon clan and the people of the Central Plains are on their way, but they have yet to arrive because they are too far away. The elders from the West Spirit mainland have been suffering from severe injuries and have not been able to recover. As for the South Continent's regional lord, the Manor Lord had previously begged the South Continent to send someone over to help but was chased out by the people from the South Continent. Chapter 2041. Yun Luofeng was aware of the situation at West Spirit Academy. The first time they had opened the space, it had been Ji Jiutian's ability, but a few old men had secretly learned it. The second time, it had been the combined efforts of a few old men to open the path to the Fengyun continent. However, the opening this time had used up too much of their energy. Even though Yun Luofeng had left behind many elixirs, it would take some time to replenish them. I understand. Yun Luofeng turned to look at Dong Zhou. Dong Zhou has helped me a lot this time. Hong Wan has even sacrificed herself. Yun Luofeng's heart trembled at the mention of Hong Wan's death. So, Yun Luofeng, will never forget your kindness in this lifetime. Aside from Nan Zhou, the Yun family is indebted to everyone else. Yun Luofeng, have always repaid kindness with kindness and enmity with enmity. For people like Nan Zhou who sit back and do nothing, I will not care no matter what happens in Nan Zhou in the future. Once she had finished speaking, she leaned weakly against Yun Zhao's chest and gently closed her eyes to hide the pain in her eyes. Yun Xiao, take me to the Holy Lady clan. I want to treat old Master Jun's injuries. She had no strength left in her body, and even standing was a struggle. She had never felt so weak before, no matter what kind of powerful cultivator she had faced. Murderous intent surged in Yun Zhao's heart as he hugged the woman against his chest tightly. Of course, he was not so angry because of Hong Wan's death, but because the Qin family had made Yun Luofeng cry. Those who had made her shed a tear could only be made up with their lives. Miss Yun, Hong Ling stood up as she watched Yun Luofeng's departing figure. Is there any way to revive Luan Er? As long as she can come back to life, I am willing to exchange my life for it. Yun Luofeng paused in his steps, but in the end, he left without looking back. She did not give Hong Ling an accurate answer, because she did not know if Hong Wan could be revived. At the Holy Lady clan, Jun Lintian lay weakly on his bed with his eyes closed. At his bedside, Jun Linger and Jun Xian quietly accompanied him. Xian Jun Lintian's breathing was weak and his voice was weak. I'm fine. Please take me to the East Continent. I'm worried about the Yun family, or you can bring them here. Master, you can't even crawl. How are you going to help the Yun family? Jun Xian sighed helplessly. As long as I'm alive, I can help them. Jun Xian's eyes widened, but because of that weak voice, he didn't have the same awe-inspiring power as before. Your body is already in trouble. Don't try to show off. Jun Xian's eyes were filled with worry. Fine, this old man can't help the Yun family, so what are you all staying here for? Hurry up and protect them. Old Master Yun was so angry that his breathing became ragged. If something were to happen to the Yun family, how would he explain it to Yun Lass? I've already discussed it with Hong Wan. I'll stay here to look after you and the other patients. She'll protect the Yun family. Moreover, Hong Wan is already a deity. We should believe in his strength. Even so, Jun Xian's eyes were filled with uncontrollable worry. He began to wonder if it had been the right decision to let Hong Wan take the Yun family away. Chapter 2042. I don't need anyone to protect me. Scram to the East Continent Prefecture. Jun Lintian was so anxious that he tried to stand up. His qi and blood were unstable and he coughed heavily. He coughed out a mouthful of blood, causing his pale face to turn even paler. If something happens to the Yun family, how am I supposed to face Yun Ruoyan? How am I supposed to face her in the future? Jun Lintian's face was filled with grief. His body was weak as he lay on the bed, unable to hold back his tears. Father, Jun Linger suddenly stood up and said, I'm going to the East Continent to check on the situation. If worse comes to worst, I'll bring Grandfather Yun and the others here. She then turned to walk out of the room. Jun Xian stood up anxiously. Linger, stop right there. Father, don't make Grandfather angry. Besides, he's really worried about the Yun family. I'm going to check on them so that he can be at ease, right? Jun Linger's eyes were sparkling as she spoke. Jun Xian sighed. I think it's better if I go. Linger, stay here and keep your grandfather company. I'll be back soon. In reality, he was worried about the Yun family as well. If the East Continent Prefecture could not protect them, why not bring them back? At least they could protect the Yun family with their lives. Just as Jun Xian was about to walk out, Lin Ruobai rushed in from the door happily. Grandfather Jun, my master is back. My master is back. Xiao Bai's master? Isn't that? Jun Xian was stunned, then filled with joy. Even the feeble Grandpa Jun straightened his back and looked out the door. Yun Luofeng and the others were hurrying over from outside the room. Grandpa Jun's heart, which had been filled with worry for so many days, was finally at ease when he saw them. She's back. She's finally back. As long as she's back, no matter how many problems there are, they will all be solved. After all, in Jun Lintian's heart, Yun Luofeng was not only a genius, but also an omnipotent god. Sister Yun. Jun Linger was full of joy as she walked towards Yun Luofeng. Her expression suddenly became somewhat aggrieved. It's good that you're back. Many things have happened in the 7 continents these days. Facing the joy of the crowd, Yun Luofeng nodded his head lightly. I understand. This time, I am here to treat the injuries of Grandpa Jun and those from the Sacred Maiden tribe. As for the enmity with the Qin family, I will settle it with them later. Grandpa Jun swept his gaze across the people of the Yun family, who were standing beside Yun Luofeng, and breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the crisis this time has been resolved. This time, we must properly thank those people from the Eastern Continent, especially Miss Hong Wan. She's sincerely trying to help you. Apart from the Southern Continent, There were a few other forces that chose to remain as bystanders when the Yun family encountered such a crisis. Therefore, Hong Wan had originally wanted to gather everyone on the mainland. Even if they couldn't deal with the Qin family, they could at least delay them. Who knew that the other party would immediately flee after hearing about the Qin clan's strength? West Spirit Academy was unable to help, but the elders of West Spirit Academy had sent some experts over. Unfortunately, there were already countless casualties when they were at the June residence. Huang Yingying of the Witch Demon tribe had been saved by Yun Luofeng before, so the Witch Demon tribe naturally stood on Yun Luofeng's side. The previous continent lord of the central continent was on good terms with Jun Lintian, so he had personally brought people over. However, because the central continent was too far from the spiritual state, those people couldn't make it in time. Chapter 2043. The Holy Lady tribe's previous actions had indeed displeased Yun Luofeng, but this time, they had helped him without any hesitation. Yun Luofeng's ill feelings were dispelled, even if they had helped him because of Lin Ruabai. The Phoenix tribe and Dragon tribe were Yun Zhao's slaves. Only they could find Yun Xiao. Hence, the two of them had gone to West Spirit Academy to open the path to the Windy Continent. Unfortunately, before they could find Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao, they had already left the Windy Continent. Yun Luofeng's eyes darkened when she heard Jun Lintian's words. Her expression was filled with a sharp murderous intent. Jun Lintian sensed that something was amiss and was slightly taken aback. What's wrong? What happened? At that moment, the atmosphere in the room was very sorrowful. Old Master Yun looked at Jun Lintian and said slowly, Hong Wan is dead. Hong Wan was dead? Jun Lintian coughed, his face flushed red. Jun Linger was so frightened that she hurried to his side to help him breathe. Is what you said true? Miss Hong Wan. Jun Lintian was unwilling to believe that Hong Wan was dead. In reality, he was not familiar with Hong Wan. They had only met a few times. However, Hong Wan had died to protect Yun Luofeng's family. How could he not sigh at their undying love? Thank you for your hard work during this period of time. I will treat your injuries first. I will settle the score with the Spirit God continent later. Yun Luofeng's eyes narrowed as a cold light flashed in them. Even if Qin Luo had died in her hands, he was only a collateral descendant of the Qin family. She did not think that the Qin family would mobilize so many people to come to the 7 continents for Qin Luo, much less send a heavenly god. So, there must be a reason that she was not aware of. Yun Luofeng felt that a huge conspiracy was shrouding her. However, this conspiracy did not make her timid. Instead, it ignited her fighting spirit. Yun Luofeng's return shocked the 7 continents. In the South Continent Lord's residence. The South Continent Lord immediately stood up after hearing his subordinate's report. His expression was ugly. Yun Luofeng is back? Didn't she leave the 7 continents? Why is she back so soon? Thinking of Yun Luofeng's methods, the South Continent's Continent Lord felt a little guilty. After all, when the Yun family had needed help the most, he had chosen to turn a blind eye to it and had even chased out the people sent by the East Continent. If Yun Luofeng knew of his actions, then, the more the South Continent's Continent Lord thought about it, the more anxious he became, his expression filled with worry. Unfortunately, he was thinking too much. Even if he did not do anything, Yun Luofeng would not come looking for him because of this. Because everyone had the right to make their own choices. Of course, if the South Continent was in danger in the future, she would give them a taste of their own medicine. Continent Lord, you don't have to worry too much. An old man on the side pondered for a while and said, Yun Luofeng has offended the people of the Spirit God continent. Any one of the experts there can kill her. She can't even protect herself now. How can she cause trouble for the South Continent? Hearing this, the South Continent's Continent Lord gradually relaxed. However, he still frowned and said helplessly, I don't know if my decision was right or wrong. I have never interacted with Yun Luofeng, but I know her character. Now that we are standing by and watching the Yun family face a disaster, she will definitely ignore the South Continent even if we beg her in the future. Chapter 2044. The old man sneered, his lips curling into a mocking smile. Continent Lord, I don't think there is any harm in cutting ties with Yun Luofeng. That girl likes to stir up trouble too much, and this time, she has caused such trouble. If we don't clear up our relationship, she will definitely drag down our South Continent. Moreover. He paused and continued, the 7 continents are very peaceful, and our South Continent is also a top force. As long as we don't provoke those old monsters of the Spirit God Continent, who else can cause trouble for the South Continent? As for asking her for help, that is even more impossible. The South Continent Lord completely relaxed and threw the news of Yun Luofeng's return to the back of his mind. At this moment, the old man still did not know that the 7 continents were indeed facing a calamity in the future. Those friends who had helped Yun Luofeng had all lived safely under her protection. As for those people who had watched the Yun family die, no matter how they begged, they could not move her heart. You were greedy for life and afraid of death, and you did not do anything to help the Yun family. This matter was not wrong. Who did not care about life? How many people would lose their lives for insignificant people? Therefore, Yun Luofeng would not settle the score with the South Continent because of this. But at the same time, you can forget about asking for her help in the future. You can choose to ignore it, but she can do the same. This was giving you a taste of your own medicine. Besides the South Continent Lord Palace, some of the other middle and lower forces were also cowering, afraid that Yun Luofeng's anger would affect them. Just as everyone thought that Yun Luofeng's return would cause a bloodbath in the 7 continents, the entire 7 continents were tranquil. It was as if nothing had happened. Seeing that Yun Luofeng did not move, the South Continent Lord finally relaxed. It seemed that the girl was also afraid of the Spirit God Continent, so she did not dare to take revenge. Therefore, she would not make things difficult for the South Continent at this critical juncture. This made the South Continent Lord feel relaxed. Just like before Yun Luofeng's return, he did what he had to do and did not pay attention to Yun Luofeng's actions. At this moment, in the Sacred Lady tribe, when Yun Luofeng heard that the people from the Witch Demon tribe and the Central Prefecture had arrived, he stood up and went out to greet them. The Witch Demon tribe was naturally Huang Yingying, and the one leading the Central Prefecture was the previous continent master Mu Dong, who was also an old friend of Jun Lintian. "You've come?" Seeing his beloved, Yun Luofeng's expression turned warm as he asked. "Master," Huang Yingying looked at Yun Luofeng apologetically, "I'm late." Mu Dong did not say anything. He kept sighing with a helpless look on his face. Even if you had come a step earlier, you would not have been able to help much. Instead, you would have increased unnecessary casualties. Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows slightly, his tone indifferent. Huang Yingying smiled bitterly. She had been cultivating very hard and was very close to becoming a god. Even so, she still hadn't become a god. Actually, when I brought the people from the Witch Demon tribe here, no one dared to object. Huang Yingying's eyes were very bright and her brows were delicate. However, Senior Mu Dong's actions were stopped by those people from the Central Prefecture, but he still came despite the objections. The corners of Mu Dong's mouth twitched. "I've been friends with Old Man Jun for so many years. How could I not care about him? As for the others, there's no need to care at all. Although I'm no longer the continent master of the Central Prefecture, I still have the final say in the Central Prefecture." Chapter 2045. Yun Luofeng did not reply. He fell silent. After a long while he said, "Since you have come, I will tell you my plans. The Qin clan killed Hong Wan. I will definitely avenge this. Even if I have to use everything I have, I will use the lives of my enemies to accompany me in death." Huang Yingying seemed to understand Yun Luofeng's thoughts. She said respectfully, "From the moment you saved me, I have been your servant. No matter what you want to do, master, I will lead the sorcerer tribe to stand by your side." Mu Dong also smiled. "Isn't it just a spirit god continent? This old man has long since disregarded death. Girl, whatever you want to do, just do it. We will always be your support." Yun Luofeng's eyes shone brightly in the face of their true feelings. "Good. Then I will now announce to the world that I, Yun Luofeng, will declare war on the spirit god mainland." Yun Luofeng's domineering voice was cold. "Also, Huang Yingying, invite all the forces in the 7 continents. I want to see how many people are willing to fight with me." "Yes." Huang Yingying responded respectfully. There were many forces in the 7 continents. Apart from the continent lord mansions, there were also a few large sections. All these forces added together formed a considerable force. Moreover, there was no lack of existences like the sorcerer tribe that were not weaker than the continent lord mansions. Mu Dong looked at Yun Luofeng with a complicated expression. He was a shrewd old man. It was impossible for him not to know Yun Luofeng's true intentions. She just wanted to use this to clearly see how many people stood by her side. Only then would she be able to make a judgment. After Yun Luofeng left, Huang Yingying carried out her orders. Not long after, the elders from the West Spirit mainland arrived one after another. Even the little Lolita, Ji Fei, who looked like a Rawl, whom Yun Luofeng had saved previously, arrived with her attendant, and Zaheo, and the members of the Ji family. Hu Li was even more so. He had already sold himself to Yun Luofeng for 10 years. Under these circumstances, he naturally could not remain indifferent. Apart from them, no one else rushed over. After all, Yun Luofeng's opponents were not ordinary enemies. They were experts from the spirit god mainland. How could they dare to become enemies with these people? Therefore, due to this fear, the other forces naturally did not send anyone. Inside a simple room, Yun Luofeng sat cross-legged on the bed with her eyes closed. Her soul had long since entered the divine grimoire space. Under the azure sky, the green grass was exceptionally lush. The red-robed woman's body was laid flat on the ground. The woman's hands were placed in front of her chest. Her expression was serene and calm, as if she had fallen asleep under the bright sun. There was not the slightest trace of a dead person's aura. Little Mo, do you really have a way to revive Hong Luan? Yun Luofeng stared at Little Mo as he asked. Little Mo pondered for a moment before replying, I'm not completely sure. I'm not even half sure. Tell me the method. No matter how difficult it is, I will not give up. Yun Luofeng's expression was resolute. Little Mo paused. Do you still remember what the Divine Medical Codex told you? With the Divine Codex of Medicine, it's not impossible for you to heal bones and bring the dead back to life. If you could come back before Hong Luan breathed her last, you would be able to cure her on the spot. Unfortunately, you came back too late. Chapter 2046. Yun Luofeng's eyes darkened. She had indeed come back too late. Otherwise, Hong Luan would not have died. However, if you are strong enough in the future, you can pull Hong Luan back from the underworld directly. Then you can resurrect her. The prerequisite is that her soul is not destroyed. If her soul is destroyed, you can't resurrect her no matter how capable you are. Yun Luofeng's eyes flickered. According to what you said, when I am strong enough, can I resurrect my father? Yun Luofeng had already asked Old Master Yun about Bai Ling and Yun Yang. Yun Yang was indeed dead. His body had been intact at the time, and Old Master Yun had recognized it at first glance. As for Bai Ling, there was indeed a female corpse in the Yun family's ancestral grave, but the female corpse had been mutilated beyond recognition. Her figure resembled Bai Ling, and she was lying not far from Yun Yang. Therefore, Old Master Yun had assumed that the female corpse was Bai Ling. It was only now that he knew that he had made a mistake. But Yun Yang was indeed dead. Little Mo looked at Yun Luofeng and shook her head. I asked you to preserve Hong Luan's body so that there would be a chance of resurrecting her. However, Yun Yang's body has long turned to dust. You can't resurrect him. What about possession and rebirth? Yun Luofeng asked again. That won't do, Little Mo replied helplessly. The conditions for reincarnation are too harsh. You were lucky enough to find a corpse that matched your soul. That was why you were reincarnated on this continent. If the conditions are not met, you will not be able to reincarnate. Even if you succeed, you will suffer a backlash that will destroy your soul. Yun Luofeng sighed softly. It seemed that she really could not resurrect Yun Yang. However, Master, do you know that the underworld really exists in this world? Little Mo continued. Don't ask me how to get there. I can only tell you that only souls can enter that hell. Your physical body will disappear once you approach it. Only when you are dead will you know the way to the underworld. The living won't know. Similarly, the people in the underworld can't come out either. Little Mo noticed Yun Luofeng's darkened expression and slowly said, However, what the world doesn't know is that under normal circumstances, the people of the netherworld cannot leave. However, there is a condition. That is, if she breaks through to the Divine Lord level, she can occasionally come to the mainland. Divine Sovereign? Yun Luofeng raised an eyebrow and asked. Little Mo nodded. Don't think that it's easy to become a Divine Lord. A place like the underworld is not suitable for cultivation. If you want to break through, the conditions are much harsher than the outside world. Unless you have a fortuitous encounter, You won't be able to break through another level in your lifetime. Yun Luofeng did not pursue the matter any further. She slowly stood up and said, "The most important thing right now is to completely remove the poison from my mother's body. Today will be the last day to remove the poison from her body." Moreover, it was urgent for her to improve her strength. After saying this, Yun Luofeng swept a glance at the woman in red on the ground. His tone was firm and unquestionable. "Hong Wan, even if there is only a 1% chance, I will resurrect you. I definitely won't let you wander alone in the ice-cold netherworld." With that, Yun Luofeng no longer lingered here. She withdrew her gaze from Hong Wan, and in the next moment, the white figure suddenly vanished from this patch of grass. Chapter 2047. Bai Ling was already waiting for Yun Luofeng in the room. When she saw the two people entering the room, her beautiful face curled into a slight smile. "Feng Shao, you're here." Yun Luofeng nodded. "Today is the last day to detoxify you. After today, the poison in your body will be completely removed. However, I could sense that you were on the verge of a breakthrough. This time, if you make good use of it, you might be able to become a Sir God." A look of surprise flashed across Bai Ling's eyes. Being able to detoxify the poison was already beyond her expectations. Who would have thought that she could break through to become a Sir God? "Yun Shao." Yun Luofeng turned to look at Yun Shao. "Come and help me. If I want to help my mother break through, I need 2 Sir Gods by her side." She had sent Yun Yi to the Fengyun continent. Now the only 2 Sir Gods by her side were Little Worm and Yun Shao. This time, the treatment did not end as quickly as usual. Yun Luofeng had already been in there for a few days. What Yun Luofeng did not know was that in the few days that she had been treating Bai Ling, the Qin family had sent people over again. This time, they wanted the Holy Lady tribe and the Jun family to hand Yun Luofeng over. At that moment, the entire sky above the Holy Lady tribe's towering mountain was dark. Countless people stood in the void with swords in their hands. They were even denser than the dark clouds. At the forefront of the group of experts was a handsome man. This man's eyes were very arrogant and he looked like he was overbearing. "It's him." The elder in gray from the Holy Lady tribe recognized this man at first glance. His emotions were stirred up and his eyes were filled with anger and resentment. "This is the fellow who took away the Holy Lady tribe's leader." "You're saying that this bastard took away my mother?" Lin Ruobai's chest heaved up and down in anger. His baby face was filled with anger. The man's gaze swept across the ground. When he saw Lin Ruobai's delicate and adorable face, a look of surprise appeared in his eyes, but it disappeared in an instant. "Hand Yun Luofeng over. Otherwise, the Qin family will trample this Holy Lady tribe." The man raised his head slightly and said arrogantly. He would never have imagined that someone could kill a heavenly god in this place known as the Forsaken Land. Therefore, he had no choice but to come here personally this time. "Dream on." Jun Lintian puffed out his chest and stepped forward. "If you want to touch my granddaughter-in-law, you'll have to step over my old bones first." The others also stepped forward. Facing the terrifying opponent in the sky, no one flinched. Just because on this mountain of the Sacred Maiden tribe, there was someone they wanted to guard. "Looks like that woman Yun Luofeng has really returned." The delicate man chuckled. His smile was filled with disdain and ridicule. "Since she's a coward, I, Qin Yuan, will force her out." Qin Yuan's gaze swept across the area. With a boom, he raised his hand and a powerful force blasted out. Grandpa Jun's body was instantly sent flying backwards, blood raining down from the sky. But Qin Yuan didn't kill him. He only wanted to torture these people so as to force Yun Luofeng out. If he killed them, wouldn't it be meaningless? Who are Yun Luofeng's relatives? Qin Yuan gently raised his brows and his gaze swept across the group of people below. Chapter 2048. "That's me." Old Master Yun ignored the pulling of the people around him and strode out. The old man still looked fearless. His hands were behind his back, and his face was stern and proud. "You good-for-nothings only know how to take advantage of the spirit god continent's dominance to bully us. If you have the ability, then kill me. What kind of ability do you have to use us to threaten my granddaughter?" Old Master Yun was fuming. Especially since the Qin family had killed Hong Wan. Hong Wan was such a good girl, yet she had died in the hands of this bunch of scum. How could he be polite to these scum? If this scum had not been so far away, he would have spat on him. Qin Yuan narrowed his eyes as murderous intent surged in his heart. However, when he thought of the Yun family's intentions, he restrained his murderous intent. It seems that this Yun Luofeng is nothing more than this. Timid, hiding on Holy Maiden Mountain and not daring to come out. Even when her loved ones are in danger, she does not care. Is such a person worthy of your protection? Lin Ruobai roared and charged at Qin Yuan, brandishing his claws. Her little face was flushed with anger as she said angrily, "I will not allow you to humiliate my master."
Lady Ruobai.
The faces of the Holy Maiden tribe members changed drastically. They wanted to stop Lin Ruobai, but it was too late. Lin Ruobai was already in front of Qin Yuan. Bang! Qin Yuan lifted his leg and kicked Lin Ruobai's chest. Lin Ruobai's body fell from the sky and slammed into the ground. She felt as if all the bones in her body had fallen apart, and she was in so much pain that she could not even get up. Qin Yuan straightened his sleeves, his face expressionless. "If you did not look like her, I would have taken your life with that kick." Lin Ruobai clutched her chest and glared at Qin Yuan hatefully. If looks could kill, Qin Yuan would have been killed by her 1,000,000 times already.
Lady Ruobai.
The Holy Maiden tribe members quickly ran to Lin Ruobai's side and helped her up. Their faces were full of heartache. Lin Ruobai was the Holy Maiden tribe's successor and the only descendant left behind by the tribe leader. What would they do if she was injured by that kick? Lin Ruobai didn't say anything. His little body was trembling in anger, and his expression was very ugly. Old Master Yun clenched his fists tightly. Hong Wan had died for them, and these people before him were also in danger because of the Yun family. How could he remain indifferent?
Enough!
He roared as his bloodshot eyes turned towards the cultivators in the sky. "The person you want to deal with is my granddaughter. As Feng'er's grandfather, I should bear all the dangers for her. I just hope that you can spare these innocent people." The man snorted coldly. "If Yun Luofeng doesn't appear, everyone here today will die. Of course you will be the first." After saying this, the man raised his hand and a sharp gust of wind crashed down. Before Master Yun could react, he felt a sharp pain in his chest. Fresh blood seeped out from his lapel and dyed his entire robe red. "Father!" Yun Qingya and Ning Xian's expressions changed drastically. They hurriedly ran to old Master Yun's side and fed him a stock of spirit medicine. The old man's breathing was very weak, but at least he managed to stabilize himself. However, his face was extremely pale under the morning sun, and his lips were trembling slightly. Chapter 2049. These people were too powerful. They were so powerful that they couldn't resist them. Old Man Yun clenched his fists tightly. He felt very powerless in his heart. "Qingya, help me up." Old Man Yun seemed to have made a decision. He used Yun Qingya's strength to stand up from the ground. His footsteps were a little unsteady, and he looked like an old bell. "So what if your Qin family is strong? If you kill me now, my granddaughter will avenge us one day. Haha." At that time, not only the Qin family, but the entire spirit god continent will suffer. Old Man Yun gritted his teeth as he said these words. His old eyes shone with a bright light. Yes, he had already made up his mind to die. All these years, it had not been easy for Yun Luofeng to grow to his current realm. As her grandfather, he had never helped her before. She had walked so hard, and since he could not help her, why should he drag her down? Even if he died, he would not let the Qin family use him to threaten his granddaughter. "You want to force me to kill you?" Qin Yuan clearly knew the old man's intentions. He sneered. "Why are you in such a hurry? In any case, you will all die sooner or later." After saying this, Qin Yuan slowly raised his hand and gave the order, "All of you, attack. However, don't kill them for now. It's fine to cripple them. I want to see how long that Yun Luofeng can last." "Yes, young master." After saying this, the people behind Qin Yuan swooped down. The entire Holy Maiden tribe was in a chaotic battle. Of course, the situation was one-sided. Even the weakest member of the Qin family was at the divine spirit realm. How could the ordinary people of the 7 continents be a match for them? Therefore, the Holy Maiden tribe could only hear the wails of those wails. Roar. At this moment, a dragon's roar and a phoenix's cry sounded out from the sky. Everyone looked up and saw the dragon and phoenix clans coming to help. The leaders of the dragon and phoenix clans were the 2 young men who had appeared on the day of the wedding. They waved their hands, and the followers behind them joined the battle. Qin Yuan smiled disapprovingly. This was just an ordinary dragon race, not the ancient dragon race of the spirit god continent. Could these spirit beasts fight against the experts of the Qin family? That was simply daydreaming. Therefore, Qin Yuan didn't think much of this group of dragons and phoenixes. Just as he was about to withdraw his gaze, he suddenly realized that there was a group of humans standing on these dragons and phoenixes. Qin Yuan was taken aback. Before he could come back to his senses, one of the handsome young men swung his sword. The Qin family's godly spirit, who had been incomparably ferocious a moment ago, was suddenly struck by the sword light. His flesh split open and he fell from the sky. Everyone who was fighting in the sacred maiden tribe was dumbfounded. They looked at the group of strangers who had come to help. Qiling, let's have a competition. Are the experts of our drifting wind nation stronger? Or are the experts of your Tianqi nation killing more people? The handsome young man smiled faintly, turned his head to look at the person riding on the dragon's back and said provocatively. The man on the dragon's back laughed out loud. That's a good idea. Let's compete to see who's the strongest. The strongest one will be Miss Yun's right-hand man. The other one won't have any meaning. All right, then let's start the competition now. The young man's smile was a little immature, but his aura was very strong. Especially when he was riding on the phoenix's back, he looked very confident. Chapter 2050. Miss Yun? The others were slightly stunned when they heard the name. Could it be that the Miss Yun they were talking about was Yun Luofeng? Yun Luofeng had so many experts with him? Judging from their abilities, they seemed to be above the deity level. Qin Yuan's expression changed slightly. His eyes darkened as he coldly looked at the group of people who were fighting with the Qin clan's experts. Long Shi, Jun Lintian regained his senses and looked at the young man leading the dragon clan and asked, These people are... Oh, I met them on the Fengyun continent. Next, Long Shi told him about their encounter. Not long ago, he and Feng Qi happened to be guests in the western continent and happened to hear the Qin clan's message. He immediately decided to look for Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao with Feng Qi, who knew they would hear about Yun Luofeng's actions on the Fengyun continent not long after they arrived at the Fengyun continent and found out that she had left. Therefore, he was trying to find a way to leave the Fengyun continent to meet up with Yun Luofeng and the others, who knew he would meet Yun Yi, who went to look for Qi Su and the others. Yun Yi was Yun Luofeng's puppet. It was impossible for Long Shi not to know him. Therefore, he decided to travel with them. They left the Fengyun continent together. Coincidentally, they met the Dragon and Phoenix clans who came to the eastern continent to help as soon as they left the Fengyun continent. The Dragon and Phoenix clans were in the isolated beast continent after all. It was already very late when they heard the Qin clan's message to the continent. However, the elders of the two clans were Yun Zhao's people and immediately ordered their elites to come. However, as soon as they arrived at the eastern continent, they learned that Yun Luofeng had returned and even announced the news to the experts on Saint Mountain. Therefore, it led to Qi Su and the others being with the Dragon and Phoenix clans. Humph. Qin Yuan's face turned cold when he saw the Qin clan gradually falling into a disadvantageous position. His aura suddenly surged out. He was an ultimate god after all. How could he let the Qin clan lose face here? However, Qi Su only smiled disdainfully when he saw Qin Yuan's expression. Do you think the Qin clan is the only one with ultimate gods? Aren't you underestimating the Fengyun continent's forces? As soon as Qi Su finished speaking, the ultimate gods from the Fengyun continent also unleashed their powers without holding back, causing Qin Yuan's expression to change drastically. Divine Lord? There are other ultimate gods besides our spirit god continent? That's impossible. Where are you from? Perhaps Qi Su felt that Qin Yuan's expression was not shocking enough, so he laughed coldly. Frog at the bottom of a well. A divine venerable is enough to scare you? I haven't even brought out the divine monarchs here. Divine Lord? Qin Yuan's body trembled. Even in the spirit god continent, the number of divine lords could be counted with one's fingers. In the huge Qin clan, there was only one. There was a divine lord by Yun Luofeng's side? Boom! Just as Qin Yuan was filled with disbelief, a body fell from the sky and smashed into the ground, creating a huge crater. The man was tall and sturdy. His face was expressionless and cold. His aura was like a surging river, never ending. At this moment, the expression on Qin Yuan's face could only be described as horrified. Divine Lord! There was really a divine lord by Yun Luofeng's side? Why wasn't this mentioned in the information he had gathered? Chapter 2051. The others didn't know what a Sir God represented, but for Qin Yuan to have such an expression, it was obvious that the Sir God was stronger than him.
Yun EU.
Old Master Yun rubbed his chest and took a deep breath. He actually asked in a gentle tone, "When did you break through to the God Monarch stage?" As soon as he said this, Old Master Yun suddenly realized that Yun Yi was just a puppet. How could it speak? But what happened next shocked Old Master Yun so much that his heart almost stopped beating. "I'm not too sure about the specifics. I only know that I broke through after eating a few bolts of lightning." Yun Yi scratched his head and changed his cold expression. But the taste of the lightning wasn't bad. "I really want a few more." Old Master Yun's mouth twitched. Sobbing sounds could also be heard from the surrounding people. Yun Yi was a puppet, but he had his own thoughts. What did that mean? It meant that Yun Luofeng could create a human. But he broke through after eating a few bolts of lightning? He wanted a few more? What did that mean? Did he think that the lightning belonged to him? "Go!" Qin Yuan gritted his teeth and ordered. Just as he was about to turn around and leave, a loud explosion suddenly came from not too far away. Then, the lightning appeared. Yun Yi's eyes immediately lit up when he saw the bolt of lightning. He let out a low roar and quickly flew towards the lightning. His eyes looked as if he had just seen a delicacy and couldn't resist the temptation. Indeed, to Yun Yi, wasn't the lightning his delicacy? It could provide nutrition to his body, however. Yun Yi's power was already at the level of a Sir God. He would be a real god after that. Unfortunately, real god wasn't easy to break through. Hence, no matter how many bolts of lightning he ate, he couldn't become a real god. But, in addition to breaking through, the heavenly thunder could also shape his body, making his body stronger. This was also a rare benefit. Qin Yuan's legs turned to jelly and his body trembled. Sir God, another Sir God. Oh my God! What kind of monsters were around Yun Luofeng? Even their Qin clan, after so many years of heritage, only had one Sir God. Qin Yuan didn't care about the Qin family anymore. He took advantage of the fact that everyone's attention was on the sky lightning to turn and run away. Seeing that Qin Yuan was about to escape, Qi Su immediately shouted, "Stop him!" In an instant, all the ultimate gods moved and flew toward Qin Yuan. However, just as they were about to reach Qin Yuan's back, he disappeared into thin air. That's right, he had indeed disappeared. Furthermore, no one knew how he had disappeared. That guy escaped. Qiling was a little annoyed. If he could keep this guy, he might have a chance to go to the Divine Continent. Qi Su pursed his lips and did not speak. His eyes were filled with anger and his handsome face became serious. This. Lin Ruobai blinked. "May I ask, what does a divine sovereign represent?" She had only heard that person from the Qin family say that Yun Yi was a divine lord. And now, her master's mother had also broken through to become a divine lord. However, she did not know what a divine lord was to them. Qi Su glanced at Lin Ruobai and said patiently, "Above deities are divine gods and above divine gods are ultimate gods. That guy just now is an ultimate god. As for a divine lord, it's below a true god but above an ultimate god." Chapter 2052. In this world, no true gods have been born yet. Therefore, a divine emperor is the most powerful existence. Qiling continued. Gasp. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Yun Yi had become so powerful? Even Bai Ling had broken through to become a divine emperor? Didn't Miss Yun tell you? Qi Su was a little surprised. Both Yun Yi and Little Worm have reached the level of Sir God. Although young Master Yun Shao is also a Sir God, to be honest, even if Yun Yi and the other Sir Gods joined forces, they might not be his match. It can be said that young Master Yun Shao is already an invincible existence. Oh, there's also Miss Yun. Although Miss Yun is only an ultimate god now, her strength is comparable to a divine emperor. She defeated a divine emperor last time. Although Lang Xinyue was plotted against by Yun Shao, everyone present could see that Lang Xinyue was not Yun Luofeng's match. Therefore, it was not a problem to say that her strength was comparable to a divine emperor. Old Master Yun was a little dizzy. He had wanted to sacrifice himself and let Yun Luofeng escape. Who knew that his granddaughter's strength was comparable to the continent's strongest? The surprise came so fast that he could not react. Just when everyone was in shock, Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao had arrived together. Bai Ling stood beside Yun Luofeng. The smile in her eyes disappeared when she saw the scene in front of her. Yun Luofeng saw the blood on old Master Yun's body at a glance and his face darkened. What happened? Grandpa, why are you hurt? After saying that, she looked at the Qin family's experts. Qin Yuan had escaped, but the others were left behind. Therefore, they naturally received Yun Luofeng's anger. You guys hurt them? The corners of her mouth curled into a cold smile, and the killing intent on her body gradually leaked out. The Qin family smiled bitterly. They were brought here by Qin Yuan. In the end, Qin Yuan ran away and left all of them behind? This time, they would not just die without a corpse. Perhaps, they would not even die in peace. Azure Wings. Yun Luofeng calmly ordered Yun Yi, who was following behind him. First, cut their bones into pieces. After they die, hang their corpses outside the city gate of East Continent. Let them face the East Continent Master Mansion and use their whole lives to repent for Hong Wan's death. These people had not only injured old Master Yun and the others, but more importantly, the Qin clan had also killed Hong Wan. From that moment on, she swore that she would use their souls to pay tribute to her. When the Qin clan members heard this, their expressions changed drastically. It was fine if they were to die, but in the end, they had to be humiliated by her after death? This was something that no one was willing to endure. Seeing those people's panicked expressions, the cold smile on Yun Luofeng's face deepened. You dared to kill my friend and invade the Yun family. You must pay the price for this. At that very moment, Yun Yi had already walked in front of them. Facing a Sir God expert like Yun Yi, everyone in Qin family had no ability to resist. After Yun Luofeng returned, the various factions of the continent had sent spies to the Holy Maiden Mountain, wanting to know his every move. Therefore, the news that the Qin clan had sent